Wow. Already new drama? Oh my god, Dark Viper, he's just the gift that keeps on giving. Jesus fucking Christ. We're not even ready. We're not even ready. And it's already starting again. Fucking hell, man. Giving! Oh, Lord. Please never let me become a local like these fucking idiots. Please. Hello, Buster. It's the day of the days of all days where we get to go into the server. OHxPW. Delicious and sweet. How did we get here? Ain't nobody wants to be here. How they wanna do this shit? I hit it straight from the sign. Today is the day. One. Come on. It stands for Secure Protect Containment. Like, the SCP is their cheeky way of using the initials for the new scenario that they introduced, which is Secure Contained Procurement or Secure Contained Protectment, which then makes the initials SCP. No, I'm wrong. Survive, Capture, Preserve. How did you get here? No, it doesn't have a crossover. How did you get here? Ain't nobody wants to be here. Kids walking around asking for trick and treats. In the game? No, they don't have a Halloween event like that. They have to do them as an insert. Unless you mean children yesterday. We did that early. Most places in town did trunk or treats very early into the week. Because the holiday just is not safe anymore. At all on Halloween night. So, trunk or treat has become the benefit basis for all the adults. They basically do the trick-or-treating out of trunks. You go to your local church, your local library, your local government center, or in your neighborhood, if you organize it together, collectively, as a unit, instinctively all together, you set up a means. Sometimes, if it's rural with tractor trailers, because their legs will get tired, or individually with strollers or with pickup truck cars with hay in the back. You ride around your neighborhood, going from door to door with all the people participating. You can have a bowl with a chair outside towards the street so that they don't have to approach your house. Or you can be out in front of your home from the trunk of your car or sitting outside to hand out candy for the children, and then refreshments and adult beverages for the adults, and general food for everybody to eat while they're around before the sun goes down, which is the important part. Before the sun goes down. It starts before a certain time and it ends after a certain time, and it is inclusive before the sun goes down. If people walk up onto your property after the sun goes down and there is no longer any light, you have free license to blast them. I'm talking Baja blast them out of the sky. Because it's not tenable for you to have to go all the way up to a person's house. Because nobody knows who's going to be going in and calling at that time of night. And the only reason why they would be is if it's somebody who's got locked outside of their house, or it's an actual emergency that involves the police needing to call somebody for their door. Or you're in the hood. Blame the teenagers. You probably could unironically blame the teenagers. But it's just not tenable to not do a trunk or treat. Because it makes it safer for the kids. Because the adults will be there watching the other people in the area. So if anything were to happen to the children, then those children would be protected by the fact that there are so many parents and so many adults around that would help them should somebody do something like kidnap them. Very difficult, very hard for that to usually be the case. But that is usually the case. It is unfortunate that that usually is the case, but that is usually the case with the trunk or treats now. Yeah, it's kind of like the idea of places not allowing for certain kind of uniforms and certain kinds of content. Especially when it comes to things that have like military garb that is period accurate, and weapons that have the ability to shoot ammunition of some capacity. The freaks come out at night. The freaks come out at night. The freaks come out at night. Freaks come out. The freaks come out at night. What a weird post. Lord have mercy. The people that are going crazy looking at these pictures that are supposedly showing how J.D. Vance is going to leave his Indian wife and somehow start bagging Erica Kirk is really fucking weird because they just keep coming. It's like porn, AI post, Kai, or not Kai, but I Show Speed dressed up as the Black Flash. More clips of the Black Flash, more clips of the Black Flash. A couple of the Kick streamers dressed up as monkeys and baboons. AI generation. iDubbbz with some humiliation kink on the timeline. And multiple reposts of this picture that was produced by Kyle Kalinske that says Spirit Fake Grieving Widow Grifter costume includes fake teardrops and skin-tight black leather mourning pants with a giant bundle of money falling out of the hands of the posing actor. The timeline is dog shit. Also, we'll see you around Buster. Leave it to Twitter to be the most unhinged. It's not even 8 o'clock yet. As well, a question for you. Since SCP was mentioned, have you read or defined any particular entries and stories that I like? There is a version of SCP stories that often get quoted and used as reposted content on TikTok that has the versions that weren't tainted by the woke mafia that decided to adapt themselves into SCP with their gay-ass stories. Those SCPs I tend to find interesting. I think my favorite SCP in general is the Liar's Cradle. And maybe Mr. Lucky. That's about it. Mainly because outside of the game famous ones, it is the ones that I find the most interesting that I've written short stories about for creative writing. Besides that, I don't have a particular favorite outside of what most people would expect to have. It's just, there's so many. And some of them are really good. And some of them are mid. That's alright. They're allowed to be mid. But they just feel like absolutely not great. In terms of like value towards entertainment. Unfortunately. You're welcome, Buster. Meanwhile, I have to wait for updates from the people who I intended on bringing with me into the Once Human server. So let's look at these updates. Starting with Dave Smith villain clashing over Israel's free speech and the rise of Nick Fuentes. This is probably going to be dog water.
December 18th. I remember because that's an important date to me. It's Joseph Stalin's birthday. I'm a fan.
I'm out. Alright, Nick Fuentes and his name's not Dave Rubin. I can't remember. I can't remember the Nick Tucker Carlson. There we go. How easy it is for a name to go just straight out your ear. Probably have to do this one before we do this one. Jesus Christ, 2 hours. 2 hours, 18 minutes even. Fuck. And you feel me Alright. New player window, we fix, picture. Get bigger. Too big. Bigger. Oh no.
Nick Fuentes, thank you for doing this.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
I wanted to meet you. I've heard about you.
I've heard about you.
So, well, thank you. I want to understand what you believe, and I want to give you a chance in a minute to just lay it out. Not
butt sex. Extreme, hard, graphic, constant, and overflowing, gushing from his backside. Gushing, Tucker. Gushing.
what you're pivoting against, which are a lot of the same thing. You know, I agree with you on some of the things you're pivoting against for sure, but what do you affirmatively believe? So I just want to stand back and let you explain it. But first I want to understand how you got to where you are, how you became Nick Fuentes. So this is my understanding of your life arc, and tell me if I'm wrong. You show up at Boston University, you grew up in a suburb of Chicago, kind of working class, western suburb, and you show up at Boston University in the fall of 2016 at the height of the battle between Trump and Hillary. It's like this kind of pivot point in history, and you show up with a MAGA hat, and you have a Trump hat, and you have like basically off-the-shelf Republican views?
Yes.
And so describe the views that you had then, and then describe what happened.
First Sam Hyde and now Tucker? Yes. He got an interview somehow with Tucker Carlson, which then led to other people having comments about those takes that they had from said interview. So in order for me to look at the clip that I just had up, I have to first look at this interview. Because I had let it pass me by because, oh my god, these news stories have been dog shit this week. Almost all of the news stories of October and September have been dog shit. But these stories are really poop. But this is at least an interesting bit of pivot.
Yeah, so when I was in high school, I was very political. I was reading a lot of the libertarian stuff, Austrian school, Chicago school, economic type literature, because that's what was popular at the time. If you went online in the early 2010s, that's all the conservative content there really was. That was the most extremely online type
Libertarian
stuff.
economics.
Well, yeah, basically kind of the remnant of the Ron Paul Revolution.
Yes.
The Young Americans for Liberty, PragerU, which kind of skews a little more, I guess, conservative, but very basic, small government, individualism, libertarian type stuff.
So you
I can literally tell you that what was common at that time was the owned compilations. I graduated ahead of him, which means I'm older than him. So if he's 2 years behind in the 2014 generation, and then eventually he shows up 2 years later on college, spouting normal rhetoric, he would have been a person that would have been in opposition to something like Occupy Democrats and Occupy Wall Street, which means his politics come directly after people like Remfremis became famous for being online lol cows. Where he necessarily got his political opinions from, he could have got it from anyone. There is multiple skeptics he could have been fans of, but I don't think he was really a fan of any particular person he could actually track down, unless it happened to be people like Shuonhead. It's not like we can track his life goal and his life plan the same way we can with somebody like Xander Hall. Nick just kind of appeared in the ether. Little cubby bottom boy.
Watch PragerU videos?
Oh, yeah. I was in the Prager Force.
What's that?
It's a Facebook group for college kids, and they promote the PragerU videos.
Wow.
You see what I'm saying? Like, who the fuck does that? I am on a group page on my Facebook where I and my friends promote the PragerU videos by getting people to watch them, because I really like Daniel Prager. Or is it Dennis Prager? No, my brain's saying Daniel. It's saying Daniel.
Wow. That's to the college students and high
So
school
you really were a
students.
product of the moment.
Absolutely.
And how'd you feel about Trump?
Well, initially, I didn't like Trump. When the primary started in 2015, I considered him to be a statist.
Yeah.
Which,
And then when I saw that he had meme magic, I became a true believer. Very true.
sounds so ridiculous now.
No, a lot of people thought that.
Yeah. And I was a libertarian, so I saw him as a big government, 1990s liberal. When he was asked about healthcare, he said, well, we'll take care of everybody. And I said, I'm a Rand Paul guy, Ted Cruz guy. Those were kind of my people back in 2015.
You like Ted Cruz?
I was a cruise missile.
Does Cruz know that?
I don't think so, no. I was actually on his campaign.
You were on the Ted Cruz campaign?
I don't know if I was on the campaign, but I door knocked in a little village in Chicago, in McKinley Park.
So you canvassed for his campaign from one of his many campaign offices. You weren't on his campaign. Like you were on the Yay train trying to get Kanye deeper involved with Donald Trump for Yay 2024 alongside Molly Yiannopoulos, right? Right. Come on, Nikki.
For Ted Cruz
No way.
in the Illinois primary.
Did he write you a thank you note?
No, I didn't get a thank you.
I wonder if he's actually going to question him about his Bloodsport days. I wonder if he's actually going to address him as Nikki the Knife at any point.
He lost, so I
Yeah,
guess.
he did in a very humiliating way. Wow, that's amazing. So what happened?
So I, like everybody
He became cum drunk.
else in 2016, went through this ideological awakening. And first I shifted to Trump. And the first realization that I had is it started in 2016, actually, because the primaries, started in 15, around April or May, I think, the first announcements. And I had very negative feelings about Trump. And like I said, pro Rand Paul, pro Cruz. But when the actual Iowa caucus happened and the primaries began, I saw that Trump was dominating. And every night in the Super Tuesday, when they had all the big contests, one after the other, I remember the media was furious that he was winning one after the other. And I remember thinking to myself, like, structurally, if I'm a libertarian or a conservative and we want to change the country, we have to win elections. If you want to win elections, you have to bypass the media. I sort of had this realization that the media was really standing in the way. They were the problem. And I had this realization that all the conservatives and Republicans up to that point were afraid to take on the media. They, like Mitt Romney, would cower before them and were so apologetic and so weak. And so initially I said, I actually don't ideologically agree with Trump at all, but he will destroy the liberal media, or at least their monopoly on thought and opinion.
Yes.
And then a breakthrough can occur. So that was kind of the first hump. And I said, I could get behind Trump because he's a winner. He'll win for our side. And that was kind of the first big thing. And then as I listened to him more and more, his speeches and his rhetoric, I started to think about immigration.
Which you hadn't really considered before?
Never. And the reason why is because I was from a 95% white suburb. So the diversity had not really reached my corner of Chicago yet. Me and my family, not so much my family, they grew up in the city, but growing up in the suburbs, I was insulated from that. So it was just not even, it's actually, you're going to love this. I don't know if I've ever even said this on an interview before. I was listening to Mark Levin's show. This goes to show how normie I was.
Actually?
I listen to him every day.
You listen to Mark Levin every day?
In high school, yes.
Wow.
I was a fan. I loved his show, and I actually liked how he was kind of obnoxious and mean to his callers.
Yeah.
Vicious, and I liked that. I thought that was funny. But I'll never forget
Of course you did.
one show, he goes live, and he says, America's becoming a majority non-white country. Does anybody think that's a good idea? And I was thinking to myself, yeah, that actually doesn't sound so good. I didn't really even think that.
He's actually confronting him about the fucking comments on the Side Scroller podcast. Did this already happen? This already happened 17 hours ago. That's 3 things I have to watch. Lord. Ward. Put it on the back burner.
That America's becoming majority minority like that.
And so you were radicalized on race by Mark Levin?
Yes.
Are you making that up? Or
That's a real story.
Amazing.
Mm-hmm. He planted the seed at least.
Now.
And then I saw a graphic on 4chan or Twitter, and I'm sure you've seen.
I was radicalized in a way that was not connected. And then I was immediately following it up with a fucking headshot. Kappa. Ow. My ass! My ass! Shouldn't leave this chair. Might as well come refill. Because I don't know how long I'm going to have to wait until she gets back to me. We might be here a while. Drink.
Seen something similar. It said, this is what the map looks like, the electoral map. If only men vote, if only women vote, if only whites vote, if only non-whites vote. And it became very obvious what the electoral problem is. It's demographics. These immigrants are coming here. They're going to turn Texas blue like they turned California blue.
Yeah, I saw it happen.
Yeah, and you look at even the opinion polls. These people don't believe in free speech. They don't believe in the Constitution, the Second Amendment. As a libertarian, the things that are, and as American, things that are important to you, they don't believe, they don't understand these things. And so I said, that's another political obstacle. You've got the media, you've got immigration. So I'm thinking like, well, we're going to vote for Ted Cruz. He's going to be the constitutionalist. We'll vote for Rand Paul. He'll be the libertarian. But what stands in the way of political power for us? It's the media and it's immigration. So I said, well, we got to get Trump to beat the media, build the wall, deport the illegals. And once we set the country straight, then we can actually have our constitutional republic back. That was kind of the idea. And that's the mindset that I had going into college.
Amazing. So then what happened?
So I go to college,
booty hole.
I'm just, at that point, a huge Trump supporter. And you got to understand, for me, for my generation, so I was 18. I turned 18 in August 2016. And to us,
That's
Trump...
amazing.
Yeah, well, because we're like the first generation that was influenced by Trump coming of age in that moment.
No, I say it's amazing because when you're living in something, you don't appreciate its full significance. But to be 18 in August of 2016, so this really is, as you're forming your views and really yourself.
Yes.
In the middle of this.
We'll admit that we are not the most disciplined snackers. When the pantry calls, we answer. It can be...
Oh!
Western civilization. We looked at him as like, and by we, I mean me and all the online kids, teenagers that supported him, we really believed the hype. Like Teflon Don, like he could go into any scenario and win. Like he was unstoppable, unflappable. Nobody could score points on him. He just seemed like, they said he can't stump the Trump. Like he could not be stumped. And so he just had this aura of inevitability, invincibility, and I love that. And so I went to Boston University.
I mean, when you're blending through multiple situations, and mean magic comes out of every gap you do. Because for years on end, people assumed they knew what your political opinions were. And now, instead of looking at you as a donor, they're looking at you as a competent threat. There's lots of different places that can go, Nick.
Got on campus in September, and I was wearing my MAGA hat everywhere, in the dining hall, walking down the street, and it's a city campus, so you're walking down Commonwealth Avenue, and you're in the city of Boston, which is super liberal. And at that time, it's different than it was now. People were getting fired for wearing MAGA hats. People were getting punched in the face. It was like being a Trump supporter was out there actually back then. It was controversial. It was controversial everywhere, not even just in liberal Boston. But so I was wearing my hat everywhere, and I was just getting accosted constantly. In the dining hall, people would come up and yell in my face. Some black girl in a hijab ran up to me and said, "You know what you're supporting? You're racist." This, and I'm trying to get my pizza. I'm trying to get my oatmeal or whatever at the dining hall. This was happening constantly. And so I was going then on Twitter, and I had a small Twitter account with my real name and face, and I had, maybe 200 followers. And I'm posting about my experiences. And I caught the attention of a lot of people on campus for wearing the hat, for posting on Twitter, and they found my Twitter.
You've only been there like a month?
Last weeks, maybe 3 weeks. This is starting to kick up. And I catch the attention of my peers, and they...
That doesn't make sense, Nick. How would you have your account get discovered within weeks with your real name? You're talking about how people harassed you if you were just a guy on campus with no traction and notoriety. That doesn't follow. By the time what you were talking about, you were already on the internet doing your Nicky Knife bullshit during the Google Hangouts, which was 2014 and 2012. 2012 to 2014, maybe 2016 at the latest. So how could you have been doing that? And that's your political awakening, per your statement. The math's not mathing, Jives. The math's not mathing.
They start going at me on Twitter and giving me death threats. "We're going to kill you. How dare you? If I see you, I'm going to beat your ass," that kind of thing. And this is my first experience with this.
And it wouldn't just be threatening you already in IRL, considering you're right there? Huh? You're talking about the heyday time, where anywhere on a campus, it was considered a left-wing denizen and hovel. During the time where bike lock beaters were caving people's skulls in with their bike locks. How did no one threaten you? How did you not get assaulted? Again, the math is not mathing. Or you're just lucky.
Now we're all kind of desensitized to it, but that was my first run-in with this intensity from the left. So I find a police report, I get real nervous, and when you're a student, you can't really avoid other people. You're in a dorm room, you're in the, so you're vulnerable. And anyway, long story short, so one of these guys from the campus libertarian group, Young Americans for Liberty, he reaches out to me and says, "Hey, I'm not going to say his name, but he goes, I go to a school in Boston. I'm from YAL. He said, and I'd like to set up a debate with you and one of these people that's been giving you a hard time on campus because they were doing a lot of events." He said, "Is that something you're interested in?" I said, "Absolutely." And so he goes around and he asks some of the bigger people that are antagonizing me on Twitter, and everybody says no. And he goes, "Yeah, no one's going for it." I said, "Well, can you try again? Can you?" And so he finds one guy, and it turns out to be the student body president of the whole university.
It'll be you.
Yeah, the senior, this liberal, douchebag, progressive, and he's the student body president of the student government there.
What's his name? If you just remember student life, he has a name. And if he has a name, and you debated him, and it's a public event that was taped, we can go find it. What's his name?
And so we set up the debate. It was about a week before the actual election, so I think it was end of October, beginning of November. And they hold it in this auditorium in the center of the campus, and like 300 people show up. So it turns into like this huge, and they're all liberal. They all hate my guts. They're heckling me the whole time. They're yelling at me. We do this debate about Trump versus Hillary. And so I'm there, and I'm pro-Trump, and I say, I think Trump's going to win. And I'm straight up like ripping the Ben Shapiro talking points. I'm saying, it's got everything to do with culture and nothing to do with race, and diversity's a problem and all this. And I decisively win the debate. It's like not even close. The debate wraps up, and this girl, who I think I had talked to her on Twitter once or twice, comes running up to the stage after the debate, and it's Cassie Dillon. And at this time, she's a fellow at Daily Wire, Ben Shapiro's company. And like I said, I bear...
Cassie Dillon. Cassie, K-A-S-S-E. No. With a K. And S-S. I guess she took her husband's last name, Cassie Dillon, now Cassie Akiva. Okay.
barely knew her. And she comes running up and she says, oh my gosh, I live streamed this debate on Periscope on Twitter. She said, and 30,000 people watched it, and you have like 5 job offers. You did incredible. I said, wow, I don't know what to say. That's great. She goes,
You're 18 years old.
yes. So it's like happening very quickly for me, you know? And she goes, do you want to do a post-game interview after the debate? I said, sure. And so she asked me about how I thought the debate went and what my views are and things like that. And, you know, very normal stuff. And then at the end, she says, I just got back from doing study abroad in Israel. She goes, and it was amazing. Would you ever take a trip to Israel? And I said, no, I think I got everything I need right here in America. And she goes, oh, okay. And she wraps up the interview. And that was a little bit of foreshadowing. And this begins a relationship, not a romantic relationship, but we become friends and we start talking. And she's plugged in, like I said, a Daily Wire. She's talking to people at Right Side Broadcasting Network, the college Republicans. I start to develop this friend.
So how did this come about in 2016 when she didn't become a member of Daily Wire as a part of the staff until 2023? I'm looking at her LinkedIn. I'm looking at her connections posted publicly on Daily Wire. Cassie Akiva, maiden name Cassie Dillon, didn't become a member of Daily Wire until that point. But she was a part of Real Life for Life during the time period that led up to your meeting of her. Cassie Akiva Dillon is a reporter and video journalist for the Daily Wire. She joined the team in October 2023 and specializes in multimedia reporting and video journalism, covering a wide variety of topics, including culture, politics, policy, and foreign affairs. Before joining Daily Wire, Cassie was a reporter for Fox News Digital, where she created hundreds of video reports. Also the U.S. news editor for Jewish News Syndicate, which explains her question on if you'd ever traveled to Israel or to another foreign country. Cassie was the director of digital engagement for Ambassador Nikki Haley's Stand for America. While a college student, Cassie founded Lone Conservative, a group blog that assisted students in launching careers in media. Holding an MPP from Pepperdine University of Public Policy, specializing in American politics and international relations. Reaching her at CassieAkiva.dailywire.com and following her X at Cassie Dillon. See if she has a Wikipedia page that actually has the track of her education. The short answer is no. They have mentions of her on Wiki Commons with YAF, for her speaking with the Young Americans for Liberty in New York City Summit, but it's only based around 2018. I don't know why it seems like her entire biography doesn't exist, except for this mention on Muckrake. Very weird. Very strange. Something's fishy about that.
Friendship with her. And over time, she lands me the show on Right Side Broadcasting Network. And in this time, I'm really starting to lean into America first. I'm becoming more pro-Trump as time goes on. And
becoming more gay. More the butt buddy of Milo Yiannopoulos.
what really stood out to me was Trump's inaugural address in January 17th. So this was just a couple months later. And in Trump's inaugural, he says famously, a new vision will govern our land. It's going to be only America first, America first. And I said, that's me. Like, that's what I believe. I'm an American nationalist.
Me too.
Fully at this point. Not even a conservative. And there was one thing that happened just before that. It really struck me as strange. And I've told this story before. I'm not going to spend too much time on it. But suffice to say, Barack Obama, in the lame duck period, so the Democrats lost the election. He's on his way out. There's a resolution in the Security Council condemning the settlements in the West Bank in Israel. And typically, the U.S. delegation will veto those resolutions condemning Israel. Well, Obama's on his way out. He's got nothing to lose. So the U.S. delegation abstains from the resolution, and it passes. And Fox News and all the pro-Israel conservatives are calling him an anti-Semite. They're saying he hates Jews, he's an anti-Semite, he hates Israel. And I saw that and it struck me as strange because it seemed hypocritical. It seemed like how when conservatives would critique anything about race, we got called racist, or anything about feminism, we got called sexist. All Obama did was uphold U.S. policy on the West Bank that we've had since '67, which is we don't support the settlements. I said, how is it anti-Semitic to just be consistent on our U.S. foreign policy? But like I said, which is a Republican-Democrat consensus. And I got attacked for this. I wrote a big article about this. I tweeted about it. I tweeted to Ben Shapiro. I said, I've never seen anything on the Daily Wire that's actually critical of Israel. And he quote tweets me. And at this time, I have 1,000 followers on Twitter.
How old are you?
I'm 18. I'm a
You're
freshman.
still a freshman in college, yeah.
Mm-hmm. And this is even before I started my show. And I don't know, I probably got 100 likes on this tweet. It wasn't a viral tweet. He quote tweets me and says, "To accuse a Jew of dual loyalty is the surest sign of anti-Semitism." And like, this is how it sort of begins. And I see this tweet. And by the way, that was on Christmas Eve in 2016.
He immediately called you an anti-Semite.
Mm-hmm. So I'm driving to Christmas Eve Mass with my family. And I see on Twitter, the notification comes up, Ben Shapiro quote tweets me, calling me an anti-Semite. And I was like, what is this? Like, why is this guy attacking me? You know, because I don't have a platform at this time. I'm not an influential guy or anything. And so then
I tweeted at a giant, and then the giant woke up and hit me with his giant mountain-sized club. I can't believe that happened to me. How did that happen to me? I was just a little guy. There is a massive amount of rewriting history that's happening here. A massive amount of rewriting the history. 100% superior glaze. Not even Krispy Kreme donuts, bro. Fucking iron-fired pottery. Somebody better bust this man's cheeks. It sounds like hot shit. The way he tries to explain it and tries to rationalize it, it sounds like hot shit. And I'm inclined not to buy it.
put out another tweet similar. I said something like, if you're China first, you should live in China. If you're Mexico first, you should live in Mexico. If you're Israel first, maybe you should go live in Israel. And again, he quote tweets me and says, you're an anti-Semite.
That same night?
This was, I think, a couple weeks later. Happened a little bit further down the line. And so...
Were you surprised that he knew you were?
Yeah, I was. I was surprised at why he cared.
Yeah.
Because I'm thinking...
You're just a person replying at him at this point in time, where he is just picking out your statement, and he's just blasting that shit like he is popping a turd on the toilet. How is that him specifically targeting you at this point in time instead of just reacting to somebody in his DMs, in his feed, in his reply list, in his quote tweet line? The same that I could to anyone who's following me, retweeting me, subtweeting me, stalking me, harassing me, or attempting to use other outside means from the platform to post content about me or others like me on a platform like Blue Sky, or organizing harassment canes through discords to get around direct engagement. It sounds like cope, bro. Bro, it sounds like fucking cope.
How does he even know who I am or what I'm about? And it turned out that Cassie Dillon, she had texted him earlier and she wanted him to take me under his wing. She texted him after that debate and said, you know, you really like this guy. He's amazing. He did this great debate. She goes, but he's a little too pro-Trump. He's a little too Trumpy. And he goes, I'll take a look. And so I guess the two of them were kind of like grooming.
That doesn't sound right. Because she would have told you that she was going to set you up with him. Because that's what a friend would do. Like, bro, I'm about to set you up with this dime piece. But don't be fucking weird. Hey, bro, I'm about to change your life politically. I'm going to get you involved with the Super Jew. But don't act so fucking stupid. Those are words that would have come out of her mouth. Some variation of those words would have left her mouth, and you would have known not to play this game and play this card. Or are you telling me that you've never heard the concept power leveling and power scaling and hiding your power level? Okay. All right. We're going to pretend you don't know how the internet works.
Me, in a sense. They wanted me to go maybe and be a Daily Wire, or maybe looking at me as a potential conservative activist or influencer. And so they started paying attention to me, and the more critical of Israel I was, I started to get this really intense pushback from the both of them and from a lot of the people at Daily Wire.
Why do you think, so you're an 18-year-old college freshman, you're clearly talented and you're engaged, you're really interested, and you ask not crazy questions, like, what is this? Mm-hmm. And rather than explain it, they just call you a racist, call you an anti-Semite. Like, that's the first response. That seems like the least effective.
Tucker, you work in media. What is burying? 500 on the daily double.
It turned out to be not very effective in your case. But that seems like the least effective thing you could do. Why do you think they did that?
That's not the least effective thing. That's the most effective thing. If he's out here speaking against their political views, based on his opinions, based on his words, he's claiming he spoke at the time, they would have tried to bury him because he's not relevant to their movement. If we're talking early day Ben Shapiro, that is him trying to fight like a squirrel get a nut by any means necessary. And that wasn't necessarily a time period where he was the nicest, kindest, sweetest little content creator who would create his immediate female clone in the form of Cooper. Like, he's not a nice man. Ben Shapiro's never been a nice guy. Of course, they would try to schedule to destroy him and his whatever platform he had at the time and what he has now. Because he's a super controversial figure who's sitting there live on air with individuals who have demonstrated themselves to have less than good scruples.
Well, I think that you have to look at it not in retrospect, because hindsight is 20/20. And so looking back, you could say they made a terrible mistake because look at sort of what they provoked or what they catalyzed. But at that time, you got to consider, I'm 18 with no following, with no network. I'm coming from the suburbs of Chicago. My parents didn't go to college. I have no connections. And so for them, it was very easy that if they detected that a promising young guy was going to become anti-Israel in the conservative movement, they could crush that person easily and grind them under the heel. So they sort of were alerted, oh, there's a precocious young guy that isn't on board with Israel. We'll keep an eye on him. And if he gets too vocal or popular, we'll cut him down, we'll crush him. Because at this time, as you know, in 2017, it's a very different time. 2016, 17, any criticism or dissent on the subject was a death sentence. You became radioactive, unhireable, blacklisted, and that's exactly what happened. And basically from then on, it was just this escalating series of black...
Are you sure during that time period that that's what it was? Or was it you showing up on debates, threatening people with a knife? It appears that Nick is not going to be questioned about the Nicky the Knife shit.
Blacklisting, censorship, hit pieces, rumors to try to ostracize me from the movement. And
While you're a college student?
yes, as a freshman, yeah.
Most coffee companies sell weakness, watered-down drinks from faceless corporations that don't care about you or your
Bro, why do you have so many ads in the middle of this?
BlackRifleCoffee.com. Code Tucker, or pick it up at your local convenience or grocery store. You will love it. So looking back with that 2020 hindsight, I mean, Ben Shapiro seems like a big part of your political evolution.
Yes.
You went from a fan/acolyte to an opponent and then just pivoted against everything
Yeah.
that he believes.
Yeah, it was because it was this new dialectic that Trump forced.
Yeah.
Trump planted the seed.
And the seed was America first.
Yes.
So once you accept that, a lot of the way we're doing things becomes impossible to support or justify.
Right. The contradiction becomes apparent. It gets moved to the center and it becomes unignorable if you're consistent.
So what kind of efforts did they make to make you go away?
So this is a couple of months down the line. You know, first they would try to dissuade me from asking questions because I was friends with a lot of the Daily Wire writers, not just Cassie Dillon, but many of them were Jewish. And I would ask them point blank. I would say, so why do we give Israel all this money? $3.8 billion per year? What is that for? And they would say, well, you know, there's a really good answer for that, but you're asking it in the wrong way. You're asking it in an anti-Semitic way. I'd say, I'm asking for the proof. You know, what's the argument there? And so first it was this sort of, hey man, could you kind of tone it down? Maybe just don't bring that up so much. But I was persistent because at this time I was genuinely inquisitive. I wanted to know, is there an actual reason? And I was actually expecting that there was a really good reason for all of it. And the more that I read, the more that I dug into the subject, the more I found out there's a lot of these neocon Jewish types behind the Iraq war. There's the foreign aid complex, which is really unique. There's AIPAC, which is this intense foreign lobby where it's bipartisan. It seems to be the only thing that the parties can agree on. And so it just made me burn more with curiosity. So I just kept asking them. And eventually they said, you know what? We're not going to talk to you anymore. And these are my friends. I met them, went to Christmas parties with them, and all of them one day said, you're done. We're blocking you. We're never going to speak to you again. We're never going to have you on our show. And I said, wow, like this seems like inhuman. I'm struck by how impersonal this is. Like here, I thought we're friends. We're all conservatives. Maybe we disagree on one issue. Now I'm being canceled by the right. So I would...
Because you're asking questions that they can't answer, don't want to answer, or you've asked the question to use the phrase you said in an anti-Semitic way, which I'm confused on, because should be just as simple as, what is it funding? This much goes towards Iron Dome, this much goes towards ground force support, this one goes towards support and aid for those living in Israel, not the settlements. should be simple to map all that out. That if you're just, JQing all over the place, then that sounds a lot more like what you were probably doing, bro. And you love yourself a JQ, bro. You love yourself a JQ. Can't get enough of a JQ.
I was shocked by this.
When was this?
This was February or March 2017.
So you're still a freshman in college?
Yes.
Are you even paying attention to college at this point?
No, not at all. And my grades started to suffer because I was just really focused on this.
So that's pretty young to get canceled and pretty young to have friendships destroyed over politics. Like that's usually, like decades down the line.
Right.
What did you do?
Well, I just became more
cut
emboldened.
and booty hole. Cut and booty hole. Deep inside, cut and booty hole, becoming even more radicalized down the fringe.
So I took this story on my show. At this time, I was on RSBN, and I had this show, which I named after the inaugural. It's called America First. And I would kind of subtly bring up the Israel topic and say, this is something you're not allowed to talk about. This seems like an apparent contradiction. It's a big problem. And they escalated their attacks. Cassie Dillon would call my boss, who she was friends with, at RSBN every day for weeks, saying, "You'll never believe what Nick said on his show tonight. It's so racist. It's so bad. You got to take him off the air. It's going to make you look bad." And I would then get word from my boss, Joe Seals. He was the founder at Right Side. And he would call me up and say, "I don't know what has gotten into Cassie. I thought you guys were friends, but she is calling me every day hysterically, demanding that I fire you." And I was like, wow, so it just keeps getting worse. It starts with this, they're very weird about the subject. Then they don't want to talk to me. Then they're trying to get me fired. And I'm thinking, okay, so clearly what I'm asking about, there's some truth there that they don't want.
I should have asked you this earlier. Did anyone...
Are you sure that it's that there's some truth that they don't want you to find out? Or that you're JQing all over the place? The sanitation is fucking crazy.
During the course of, pre-cancelization, say to you, here are the reasons. You're not asking the question correctly, but there are reasons that our foreign aid to Israel is so high. And here's what they are.
They did, but in a very general and vague way. As you know, it's never specific. They would say things like, well, they're our partner in the Middle East. They're a democracy in the Middle East. Just as very vague. It's rhetorical. And I read The Israel Lobby by Mearsheimer and Stephen Wald, and they break it down very succinctly that there's no real strategic benefit. Actually, there's strategic liability. Eastern Mediterranean is not a strategically important region. The intelligence that Israel provides is not useful. Actually, it's detrimental because they frequently lie. The technology we give them, they pass along to the Chinese, which was a big scandal. So I would give them all this and say, yeah, that's not adding up. And they would say, yeah, well, you really just can't talk about that.
Your friend said that to you?
Yes.
Wow. Okay, so what happened to your job? The Right Side broadcasting gig?
Eventually, I got fired. I got kicked out.
Why?
Because one of these clips that Cassie Dillon had a problem with, she ran it up the flagpole. She took it to Media Matters, actually, which is a left-wing outfit. They're like a cancel mill. And
wait, the Daily Wire person took it to Media Matters?
Yes.
Are you sure?
I'm 99% sure.
That doesn't make sense, because why would a left-wing attack dog platform that acts as a hornet's nest work with a right-wing, even just Israel right-wing platform to get another right-wing figure fired? They would be more likely to attack Daily Wire than to take the tip off and attack you. So it must have been a much more direct connection.
Huh. What was the clip?
It was a clip, ironically, where I was talking about the travel ban, the so-called Muslim ban, and I was defending it. And I said that the First Amendment does not protect foreign nationals. It doesn't protect Salafists, Wahhabis. Right. He's like, I said, they're saying that there's a constitutional right for radical Muslims to come here. And I said, how are they protected by the First Amendment? They're foreign nationals. And the authorial intent of the First Amendment was actually not even to protect that to begin with. It's kind of anti-Christendom radical ideology. So it's something, ironically, that probably Shapiro and Cassie would agree with. But they recognize the currency that a clip like that would have with the left. Because the left could say, you're Islamophobic, you're racist.
So she brought that to the left, saying, look at this guy. It's not that he's anti-Israel, but he's anti-Muslim.
Yes.
That's very interesting.
Yes.
And so that clip appears on Media Matters, which at the time, I was the subject of a lot of attacks from them at the time. And people kind of listened to them.
Yeah.
Including on the right, they listened to them.
Yes.
So what happened?
So I had to write an apology. My boss called me up and said, you need to apologize for what you said.
For being anti-Muslim?
Yes. And so I didn't write, I'm sorry, but I had to write something like, well, I should have chosen my words more carefully and this, that, and the other. And ultimately, then they fired me a couple weeks later, yeah.
And what was the pretext for that?
Well, they wanted to get in the White House press office. They wanted a press pass. And they said, the stuff you're saying on the show isn't like a good look for Right Side. They're not going to let us into the White House if you're with us.
But the pressure in this scenario came exclusively from the Daily Wire?
Yes. Yes, because, and here's how I know why. My show got maybe 100 live viewers every night.
Not a powerhouse show.
No. So the Media Matters was not on to me. They were put onto me by people in the right that wanted me canceled.
Yeah, well, that's interesting. So then what do? You're failing in school. Your show just got canceled. What's your plan now?
So I dropped out. I did
College. Yep.
And I hated college, and it was very expensive. Even I had a substantial scholarship, but it was still expensive, and I didn't like it. So my plan was that I was going to go to a different college. I might work for a year, make some money. And eventually I got the show back about a month later. They came back, and by popular demand from my 100 viewers who were very dedicated, Right Side offered me the show back. And so I took the show again over the summer. And then I applied for a job at the Leadership Institute. And that was kind of the next big saga.
But you didn't get the job.
No, I did not get the job.
Why?
Well, I was told, because I knew people that worked there, that were field representatives there. It was a field representative job. And so I went out for a job training at the end of July 2017. So after that second semester, and I applied for this field rep job. It was this 2-week training. I go there, and on the first day of the whole thing, they go around the room of all the prospective applicants. It's like a big tryout, basically, for 2 weeks. And they want to get everybody to break the ice and know each other. So we did introductions. They said, say your name, how old you are, and why you're a conservative. And at this time, people are not where, let's say, we are right now. They're not America First. They're not anything like, they're not talking about Great Replacement. That's not on the radar for them. So you go around the room and you hear stuff about small government, free markets.
So QAnon. You said something about QAnon.
You know, personal responsibility, that sort of thing. And they get to me, and I said, well, I'm a conservative because we're losing our civilization because of mass immigration. America doesn't resemble America anymore. France is no longer France. I said, and if we don't conserve the demographics, forget about the rest. That's what we need to conserve. And I said that. And I was told later on that at that moment, I was immediately disqualified by the people that were running the job training.
On what grounds?
They said that was too far right. That was too extreme.
Worrying about who lives in your country is far right?
Apparently.
When we started the show, we were looking for a very specific...
You have too many ads. You have too many ads. Please, Tucker. Please, condense the ads differently. Please. I am begging you.
Ideologically, like, how are you changing at this point?
So at this point, I'm realizing that something is deeply wrong here in the conservative movement, because we were led to believe in those days of the campus culture wars and Gamergate and all that, is that we're the marketplace of ideas and we're about free speech and the rest of it. And here I am being like nuked from orbit by Ben Shapiro as a kid, and for asking what I thought were reasonable questions. Because I didn't come from some strange background. I come from a normal home. You know, my parents are Catholic. They're married. We came from a relatively affluent suburb. I went to Lyons Township. That's like a very affluent high school. In other words, I didn't wake up as like the son of, William Luther Pierce. I wasn't like a skinhead or something. You know, I was like a normal guy that was like, yeah, like country's too diverse. We're too pro-Israel. Like, this is reasonable. And I was just getting sandbagged for it and blacklisted. And what's more, nobody cared. Like, because I remember going on Twitter and saying, like, you know, why isn't anyone sticking up for me? Where's Dave Rubin? You know, the free speech warrior. Where's he on this one? Where's Shapiro? Where's all these people? And in some way, they were all sort of complicit in this. So I realized that the conservative movement was completely bankrupt in that way.
Yeah, well,
and I became very radical.
Well, you became, I mean, let me just say, I'm so familiar with, you know, I was much older when it happened to me and much more insulated. I was not a college student. I was like 45. So, you know, and I was in a much better place to withstand the pressure. But I do think this is my main question to you, is when you get attacked, when people call you names, like they always call me racist, and I would always think to myself, actually not, I would tell you if I was racist. I'm a little sexist, but I'm not racist. And I never understood why they did that. And then I thought, maybe the point is to make me racist. Where you just get to a point where you're like, well, if you're going to slander me, then I'll just become the thing you're calling me. I do think that's a feature of human nature, don't you? Mm-hmm.
Are you really about to fucking do the, yes, I'll be Hitler. You've called me Hitler, so I'll be Hitler. Is that really about to be the meme that you're pivoting into? Am I living in last week's goddamn news lines?
And if you stare too intently at the accusers, at the, you know, whatever Ben Shapiro's or Mark Levin's or Ted Cruz or whoever it is calling you names, it like distorts you and you actually change and become what they say you are. Have you thought that ever? Are you worried that happened to you?
No, I don't think it ever did, because I know who I am. I had a very firm grounding of what I'm about, which is that
of cock.
I was deeply Catholic, and I
in the butt.
Still am. Deeply patriotic and pro-American.
With penis.
And I don't consider myself temperamentally to be an angry or a hateful person. So I never, in other words, lost my center. You know, they say this thing about you look into the abyss and the abyss stares back into you. That never really happened to me. I was frustrated. I was frustrated because I felt like I was being denied a level playing field, opportunity, and it wasn't fair. I felt like I was right, and these people that were basically hypocrites, grifters, not really conservative, they were controlling the conversation, and as a consequence, they were controlling the Republican movement. And I really perceive this as like an urgent crisis. Because if we wanted Trump to deliver America First, to realize it, the Trump movement had to transform the conservative movement to reflect the victory that Trump won.
So, and I won't keep torturing you with biographical questions, but I do want to, like, so how, you get your show gets canceled, you drop out of college, you have no money, you decide you want to work at the Leadership Institute, which is like a conservative think tank or some organization of longstanding in Arlington, Virginia. You can't get the job there because you're worried about immigration. It's all pretty amazing. And then where does that leave you? How did you succeed?
Well, I continued doing my show. I did it independently.
What does that mean? How do you do it? How do you do a show independently? Like, how did you do it?
I started.
You just broadcast. You make a YouTube channel. You broadcast, make a YouTube channel, make an RFTV window. Try to put yourself on as many platforms as possible, preferably with an account that is not stolen by somebody who apparently reworked my recovery passwords in Japanese. All the normal ways.
YouTube channel. Yep. And I was in my parents' basement, and I put up a green screen, I got my computer, webcam, and I just started going live every night in the same way that I did at RSBN. I just did it on my own channel, where I had creative control over it. And at that point, I basically mounted an attack on the conservative establishment from the outside. I sort of realized that there's sort of two ways you could play this. You could infiltrate the conservative movement. I could recant all my views and apologize and pretend to be one of them and bypass the gatekeepers, the censors. I said, or I could kind of be in the wilderness, and I would be alone, and I would be radioactive, but I could challenge the credibility and legitimacy of the conservative movement and its claim to represent conservatives. And that was kind of the mission, was to say, no, the immovable standard is America first. I'm going to represent it, and the conservative movement is going to have to move to me. I will not move towards them. And I thought, maybe I'll make money, and maybe I won't, but I'm going to try it for a couple of years, and I'll see how it goes.
So, but the sight picture in your head was enemy is conservative movement.
Yes.
Do you think that was a good choice?
Yes, absolutely.
Rather than like, but why not like Antifa or, I don't know, Anti-Defamation League, or there are a lot of institutions on like George Soros. Like, why would it be their conservative establishment? Why do you think that was important?
Well, I kind of took a page from Trump's playbook, which is that you have to, in the country, the left was hegemonic over all the institutions. And you have this organized opposition to the left and the Democrats and all the left-wing controlled institutions. And the organized opposition comes from movement conservatism, the Republican Party, Fox News, the sort of constellation of conservative institutions. And I said, the problem is, whether you go Democrat or you go Republican, you're kind of just like getting the same thing. You're getting the establishment effectively. The opposition is basically controlled or moderated. It's not authentic opposition. It's not a true alternative. And so I said, we, and by we I mean the true America First nationalists, we need to fight for the mantle of the opposition. And then leading the opposition, then we can take the fight to the left, as the conservatives, as the Republicans, whatever. But first, you have to win that internal battle among the audience that the conservatives have. Because that's really the problem, is that they have usurped. The base is extremely conservative, extremely anti-left. But the Republican Party, like those that represent them, are not at all. A lot of them are atheists, a lot of them are gay, a lot of them are feminists. And so I said, like, we kind of need to rally, like Trump did, rally the base against the establishment, and then take the fight to the left as the true alternative. And if you could win that, then you win the country. That was kind of Trump's model.
What did you see as like the most important gatekeepers that needed to be overturned, pushed aside in order to do this?
It was the Zionist Jews, like Dave Rubin, like Ben Shapiro, like Dennis Prager. It was these the guys that were really controlling the media apparatus that seemed to me to be the biggest impediment.
Convenient story. I was being blacklisted by individuals that were the competitive industry Jews. All 5 of them prevented my path like it was a fucking way through a technological demo of Soul Reaver 2.
Fox is not a Jewish business, though.
Well, Rupert Murdoch is an ally of Netanyahu, so he's aligned.
Yeah. And
he owns the whole News Corp empire, and yeah, he's certainly a part of it also.
I mean, Dave Rubin, though, does he matter?
No, not really.
Right. I mean, Dave Rubin is like, I don't know, do people watch Dave Rubin?
They did back...
Not anymore now. They used to back then. He was one of the many people that people would listen to and talk to and make content about, to the point that it was one of the points of parody whenever he was involved with most stuff.
Dan, I mean, because you got to consider, they were kind of like the ascendant new media, They represented the next big thing.
I mean, and Ben Shapiro seems irrelevant to me now.
But back then,
I guess that's true.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe you won.
Oh, certainly.
Well, it wasn't that long ago that many Americans thought they were inherently safe from the kinds of disasters you hear about all the time.
And another one! Fucking Christ, man. How many ads do you have in this goddamn part? What is the point of putting up the interview if you don't have the ads removed? I have so many ingrown spiraling hairs.
In third world countries, a total power loss, for example, people freezing to death in their own homes. That could never happen here. Obviously, it's America. People are recalculating, unfortunately, because they have no choice. The last few years have taught us that. Remember when the power grid in Texas failed in the dead of winter? Yeah, it happened, and it could happen again.
It's feeling resident sleeper. Lord of mercy. what I'm going to do, because it's very clear that it goes on for a while, and then the clip afterwards will go on for a while, I'm just going to skip directly to Smash JT's appearance on Side Scrollers. I will cover and look at all the rest of that later.
We're just normal men.
What do you mean, normal men?
We're just innocent men.
It's time for Side Scrollers with me, Stuttering Greg. Whoa, right on the tip. Just on the tip. And Blab. Hosted by our friends from around the internet.
There's a portion of Norway where it is legally required to carry a firearm at all times.
If you're just a normal man looking for common sense in this crazy-ass world, you've come to the right place. And now, broadcasting from our homes from around the internet, it's time for Side Scrollers. Oh, I'm not a Side Scrollers on YouTube.com and Rumble.com, and most importantly, SideScrollersPlus.com. Hello, everybody. Happy Friday, happy Halloween, everybody. Stuttering Greg, good to see you guys. Welcome to the video game podcast that does not talk about video games. Here we are, good to see everybody joining us today. The video game journalist that does not talk about video games. It's Alyssa Mercante. Hello.
No, I didn't say. Oh, God. Damn it. Anyway, here we go. Hi, everybody. This was a very big hassle to put on, and now I'm purple and blind. Hi.
You do look like the modern audience, which is great.
Thank you. I love Disney Star Wars.
That's good. You look great. They're a modern audience.
Thank you. You look like Timu Peter Pan.
Well, I'm supposed to look like Timu Link.
Yeah, it's both.
Yeah, I pull up a good child Link.
Right.
You don't even know what I'm doing there. That's fine. I'm slashing my swords. Somebody pulls off a wonderful Timu Master Chief. Smash AT.
I'm on PlayStation now.
Oh, that's right.
He's the PlayStation mascot.
Glad to see you out here, Master Chief. What's the transition like going over there to Sony?
Choice of words, first of all. Secondly, going well. This costume does a good double effect of hiding my face after the demolishment that I took according to the internet when I had my conversation last week. So it's perfect.
Well, good.
I mean, you did get demolished. So, we're going in with jovial energy. Oh, okay. So, let's talk about that very briefly. Outside of the people trying to clout shark and lie about things like the comedy skulls being turned on so they could then take context away from a talking point because they couldn't accept some talking points on Twitter. Halo was not predicted to be getting a remake. There was no communication about it at a time. Then the Combat Evolved comes to the platform. People lose their damn minds. In terms of what Halo Studios, no longer called 343, is going to do with Halo is dependent on whether or not they actually want to go through with remastering the older games to give them a fresh coat of paint and design. People have already talked about that. But what I find more interesting is that none of the things that Smash could have talked about on his interview with Colin were on his mind. I talked to a Smash JT mod in the presence of Cassie. And here's what I was told, chat. Smash JT allegedly had made a gentleman's agreement in the DMs with Colin that he was going to stay and talk about other things and other topics on his show after his disagreement had run its course with Colin over the Serrano numbers. But because of the antics that happened on that call, Colin just outright left. This then leads to several things that can be demonstrated. Number one, if that is the case, why didn't Smash just show the gentleman's agreement about how Colin chose to go off the handle instead of acting like a petulant child? Mad on the spot in the situation. Two, knowing he was going to be preparing for multiple topics, not just one topic, why didn't Smash JT take that time to abreast himself of the comments, topics, and information that would be relevant for him to be able to discuss the topics and not act like a gibbering baboon? And then, if he had this time bomb, if he had this giant, beautiful bomb that would allow him to demonstrate how weak his opponent's positions were and how incompetent the accusations to his character was, why did he not just fucking reveal the relevant parts of the DM that would have helped him to show people that he has something to say and to do about the content? Why did he not simply just fucking show the responses that would be in his DMs from him talking to Colin? Why did he choose instead to go spurging all over the timeline? Because if I had a smoking gun that would demonstrate that I was victimized by somebody, why wouldn't I just fucking use it?
Good. I'm glad you're hiding your face after such embarrassment, which I look forward to getting into with you today, because we did our fun-a-thon last week, and I just kind of saw glimpses of it, and then as I've been getting caught up, like, people hate you, man. They hate you, Master Chief. It's amazing, really. Well, you can take off your helmet now if you like. I know you're gonna be sweating your balls off.
You want to tell
there it
everyone
is, Master Chief's face, everybody. What's that?
I said, you want to tell everyone the joke that you had for it, which would have been amazing?
Yeah, what you should have done. Have we no, I absolutely do. What should have happened was Smash took off his helmet, only to reveal Donald Trump underneath the bottom of it.
You know what I wish I had a Donald Trump mask for that? That would have
been pretty brilliant. It would have pissed off all the right people, which is great. Well, look, big show today. We got a lot to talk.
So softballs. You're throwing him softballs. Woo! Softballs. Wonderful.
About. We're going to get into the Smash Colin Moriarty dust up, which I'm sure you talked about quite a bit on your show and lots of other shows.
Dust up is an understatement. Colin thrashed him. Put his face in the dirt. Took that ass. Big Dick Randy.
So, but I'm getting caught up on this. We got that. Obviously, it's Halloween. We're doing a bunch of Halloween fun stuff. We got the spookies and the Halloween costumes and stuff. You can see I am indeed. Well, people are like, what are you supposed to be in the chat? Are you not gamers? Do you not understand a link when you see him? I thought we had a bunch of gamers here in our audience, Labs.
Oh, I'm a modern audience. I don't know anything.
Okay, thank you, modern audience. That's very clever. Smash, did you hear that? It's really funny because there's been a crossover in the world of speedrunning. We talked about transitioning earlier from Mike Everett. Did you hear the latest big news from Games Done Quick?
I did not. I do. At least I should say I used to love Games Done Quick before I realized that the people that were all involved in it were nutty but nutty. But no, I've not heard. What's the latest?
Well, today, Smash, and we'll get to this story a little bit later. Their next big thing, and I'm not kidding when I say this, Games Done Queer is happening today.
So what I just responded with lines up perfectly with that. Then yes, okay, makes sense.
because we need to know who sucks whose dick before you play a video game. You know, I think it's really important that we establish these things.
I just want to know what goes on in their bedrooms. This is perfect.
Like, hey, I really love that you can speedrun Super Metroid and get 100% and save the animals and everything. But really, do you suck just dick? If you could just establish that before we go, I'd really appreciate it. That'd be great.
I don't even know how to follow that one up. But yes,
these are important questions that we must know before your speedrun of Super Mario Brothers 2.
Yes,
you know? And if we could just, maybe that's a big part of it. Is like beforehand. Okay, we'll get into that later on. I have so much to say about this. It's so fucking ridiculous. Yes, thank you.
Of course.
Obama's brother. Very good. Look, if you're new to our show, make sure to subscribe and join the 134,000 just normal men who have found us over on YouTube, and the over 25,000 who have found us over on Rumble as we continue to grow every single day. Make sure to hit the follow button over there. As it's great to have you guys in. Yesterday, we had the launch of my most anticipated game of the year, Mortal Kombat Collection, which was very, very fun. And I listened.
I heard you already retired.
Well, here's the thing, Smash. I retired because of what happened yesterday, and we'll get to this because yesterday I did do a stream. Well, it was getting on Plus, but I want to do it on Rumble as well, where I checked out the Mortal Kombat Legacy Collection. I'm gonna be honest, it was fucking great. It was really, really cool. You get a chance to play it, Smash?
I have not, but it is something I'm very interested in.
I bought it twice. I bought it for Steam and the Switch. So, and that's how much of a fucking idiot I am. But I did indeed play it. I did indeed enjoy it, and I did indeed play an online match to which I thoroughly dominated. And shortly after, I realized that I had a career-ending injury that really forced me to come out of the game. So pretty much immediately afterwards, I worked with our hardcore publicist here at Side Scrollers and devised a press release. Blast, I'm gonna sneeze.
What's with you two men and not muting when you sneeze or blow your noses? I'm pulling the curtain back just a little bit because before we started, Smash tried to mute his microphone and failed epically and just blew into the microphone, blowing his nose. It literally looked like an elephant, and I thought it was like Craig's mic giving like all sorts of issues again and scared the living daylights out of me because I was focused on this moment. And then all of a sudden, brrr. So thank you, Smash.
Happy Halloween.
Yeah, happy Halloween to you. So surprise, retreat. Look.
Skip.
His immediate retirement from all forms of online Mortal Kombat competition. After absolutely dominating my first opponent, it became clear that my time has come, I said.
Skip.
Was it that one, the guy where they take the eyeballs out and they eat their eyes?
No. It was like in, you ever seen, what's the Dave Chappelle movie where it's all about weed? What's that called?
Baked? Half Baked?
Half Baked. There's a scene, my personal finishing move is the one Dave Chappelle does, where they pretend like he's like their bouncer or whatever, and he's like talking about how he gets somebody. Oh no, that's not the movie. Anyways, there's a movie where Dave Chappelle grabs a guy by the eyeballs and spits him out and goes, you personally.
I don't know that one, but
Skip.
There's gonna be about 100 and something people over there. We're doing an event. We're gonna have drinks. We're gonna have food. We're gonna have games. It's gonna be fun. So if you guys are in Atlanta, I don't know. Hit me up. I may be able to RSVP squeeze you in. But open bar.
I got an email from YouTube about that, and I was like, oh, this is interesting. And I was like, oh, you got to pay your own way, fly there, pay for. I'm like, oh, no, I can't do that.
DreamHack is quite the investment. So
Yeah.
we're literally gonna fly in tomorrow morning. I'm leaving at 7 a.m. Landing, going to the event, like straight mercenary style. We're gonna finish the event, get on a plane, and head home. So
Oh, damn, you're not even spending the night. Wow.
no. Straight
That's gonna
going
be a
hardcore.
full day for you.
It'll be good. With that said, I do look forward to meeting everybody over there. Lots of Rumble creators and such. We're gonna be hanging out, which is good. It is Halloween, Blabs. And
What?
while Phoenix is not joining us from the hood today, as he's actually building out some stuff for that event tomorrow currently, which is why he's not on the show, working on some technical stuff, we are doing something that we haven't done in a little over a month, straight up stealing Hypnotic's bit. I don't know if you've seen this, Smash, but he has his waifu battle at the end. We have now our size 4 showdown, which we do occasionally, where we pit 2 hot women against each other. Today, it is Elvira versus Morticia. Now,
Skip. Skip.
It's me.
all right, Fart Queen, what do we got today?
That is just so rude. So anyway, everybody. Fuck, why are you unplugging me, screen guys? Anyway, October 31st, episode Tomb Raider was released in 1996. We have Luigi's Mansion 3 released in 2019. And happy birthday! 1 year today, Dragon Age: The Veilguard was released. Ta-da!
The scariest game of the 3.
Yes, maybe the most influential game of all of them, which there's a lot of irony in all that.
Yeah.
As Tomb Raider was a big game in the industry, Dragon Age: The Veilguard ruined an industry, or brought devalued a multi-billion-dollar company to it would have sold for $60 billion instead of the scant $55 billion. Who knows? But some noticeable games that were released here on Hallows Eve throughout the years include I Have No Mouth But I Must Scream, Blabs. Released
Yeah,
for-
I was gonna put that in there and I didn't.
Yes,
That's really it.
I've never heard of it before, but
Why are we in the fluff? Skip.
we're learning so much about you tonight.
Wow. Hey, sharing without actually sharing. Interesting.
She was dead the whole time.
Shit.
Nobody says Moriarty versus Sherlock JT. Thank you for the 2. Ben says, well, what are you supposed to be? You look like Gnome Child from Old School RuneScape, if I'm honest. I'm supposed to be Link, damn it! Link! Why does nobody understand this? It's ridiculous. Oh my god. Coconator says Craig's the best Peter Pan costume ever.
That's right.
Wes says, Smash got destroyed in the debate. Can't wait to see how he tries to spin it and try to save face. There's no coming back, and he should shut down his YouTube channel.
I actually applied to IKEA, and I prepared shutting my channel down the other day. So yeah, we have
Ooh.
to run. Yeah.
There's like a requirement to work at IKEA, like you have to build the furniture in like under an hour.
Oh god, I will fail there even worse than I did at YouTube if that's the case.
That should be a challenge for next subathon. Build an IKEA furniture in 1 hour.
Who can build it fastest? And then the following time, do it. Who can build it the clearest?
That's right. Yes, build
That means like what,
furniture
using the
that's
hammer the wrong way or something?
How do you use the hammer the right way?
You use the handle on the nails instead, and you can hold it by like the metal part.
And this is gonna get
Thunk,
flipped.
thunk, thunk.
This is gonna get flipped.
I put it now, damn it!
I'm all involved with it. I don't know how, but sex is involved.
I'm just waiting for this to be clipped, but I don't care. You gotta swing it real slowly.
Ah, you're bad.
What I've learned, if you say
It's
the
jokes.
stuff
It's
the entire
jokes.
time, people can't clip because it's too much to clip. It just turns into the entire episode, and then people watch the whole thing.
Do you know how much I care about being clipped and how much I care about being taken out of context? I have a 20-year career online where people take whatever they want and make me look like a total fucking asshole or like Jesus. I don't care. You know, people can do whatever they want. It does not matter. I know that I will not bow to your cancellation. Wes says, Craig, in interest of fairness, you should have Colin on next week. Not fair to have one side of the debate on, not the other. And
I can actually answer this one. I've reached out to Colin multiple times. Come on, he always seems to be busy.
yeah, and
You're a busy man.
I reached out to Colin actually last night to get see if there's anything that he wanted to add to the conversation. And he said, and I quote, "Nah, he's a mental amoeba. It's not worth trying to say anything meaningful. So I have no further insight. I appreciate you thinking of me, however." So there you go. I didn't call it.
On brand for the expectations of who I was dealing with.
Look at you. Your camera.
Now you're just shying away. You don't even want to be on camera.
Sai, when a person doesn't know things about industry numbers, says, I'm a part of the industry, then, upon saying I'm a part of the industry, people have to negotiate and navigate the troubled waters of QA tester versus 23 years of games journalism. Then the individual pretends he doesn't understand what clickbait means or is. Then sheepishly says, well, you're gonna have to buy a fucking sub and you're gonna have to you're gonna have to watch my entertainment content to know what's behind my members only wall. While claiming that he plays games, doesn't, lies and says that his clip channel is a gaming channel. It's not. And spends as many days and as many tweets as he did, antagonizing every person who clipped and watched and quoted, with somehow, weirdly, with the exception of me, very interesting, multiple instances of Colin proving him wrong. Is it surprising that it is the case that he is just yucking and yumming and hee hawing? I understand that Craig's gonna do what Craig's gonna do, but unless you're gonna displace yourself away from the cringe that happened in that point in time, bro, you can't. You can't, man. It's gonna be unfortunate for you, because that's just dog water. What's the explanation for how it happened, bro? I doubt he has one.
Camera as you speak your
It was
mind.
like, no, it kept freezing up, now it just died.
Oh, camera's died.
Excuses.
Just put your fake picture up there, your avatar up. And while we do that, Loam Saber says, wee! Thank you. Nobody says, listen, Mercante, what inspired you to write your amazing college dissertation, Goth Punks, Queers, and Gamers? Ask Smash, you need a reminder. talking to you there, Alyssa.
I like pistachios.
That's good. Coconator says, Craig, best greedy gnome from Battle Axe costume. Oh, you mean Golden Axe. That's what you mean, Golden Axe game. Mercenary says, morning, guys. Costume is ready, and Jack-O-Later is done. We'll tag on Twitter. Excellent.
Jack-O-Later?
I think that's what he said, yeah.
He did say that.
Bentley says, I'm not going to lie. After seeing Craig's outfit, he looks like he got rejected from both Blues and the Crips. I guess, or sorry, Bloods. Bloods and the Crips. That's
What did I do?
I've said, you've been called Blues before. Yes, the Bloods and the Crips. That's right. I'm representing both sides with my, hand signals and stuff. Coconator says, best tingle from Zelda costume ever, Craig. Thanks, Coconator. Appreciate that. Preon Courts also says, Craig, RTU ate her eyes. Ask Smash JT. I have a link to the video where you make Rich seethe and rant. I do.
Yeah, if I can find it. He sent it to me last night. It was actually pretty funny.
Was it good?
It was. Yeah.
Like, I've been asked about Rich a lot, and let me just say, I don't care. Like, I feel bad for the guy. I legitimately feel bad for the guy. I don't want to jump on whatever shit he's going on in his life. Like, when I heard that he had shit going on with his family and his daughter and stuff, like, that's when, like, okay, we're good. Like, I understand the shit that you have going on, and I'm not gonna jump on some dude's, shit going on in his life. He clearly is distressed, and let him do his thing in his corner of the internet. There's enough room on the internet for people to yell about me or see about me or whatever. I just don't care.
I sent it in the private if you want. It's a 20-second clip. It's pretty short.
Okay, maybe we'll watch it. Cocaine says, Craig, please give a shout out to my friend Yobsam. He would like to dress up as Link while working at GameStop and would like to call Peter Pan while trying to work. He's a huge fan. Yobsam, hello. All right, thank you. Lads, I'll tell you what, if you could please scroll the ones that have to do with Morticia versus Elvira, I would appreciate it. On the bottom, you just keep track of that.
Yep.
And I'll get to the larger ones, like Executive Producer Elsie says, for $16.70, says, sure, why not? Elvira. Right there. $16.70 for Elvira right there.
Yep.
Python Bacon says, happy Halloween. Thank you very much for your $4.99 right there. Appreciate that. And happy Halloween to you, my man. Portmine says, for 15, says, I'm into gilfs.
I bet you he loves the granny from Dan to Dan.
That's a vote for Morticia, right?
I wouldn't say.
Skip.
Let's go back even further. Willow on the NES, the Devil's Eye Sword, only weapon that could damage the undead. Useful, but slow as fuck. At least until you leveled up a bit. Yeah, so I'm one of the few that did play and enjoy Willow on the NES. It was a Zelda.
I never played Willow.
I bought it thinking it was like the arcade game. It was not.
It was not.
It was like it was like Zelda, a Zelda clone.
That happened a lot back in the day. Where you're like, I think this game's gonna be like what I played the arcade. It's like totally different. Yep.
Yeah, that happened a ton. You're 100% right. Yep. Rod came in and says, happy Halloween, everyone. I normally every year I play and beat Friday the 13th on the NES, and I will play some Shadow of the Dam remaster this year for the Butterfingers. All right, Rod, we'll enjoy that, man.
Butterfingers, I know they're kind of underrated. They're not that bad.
I used to not like them. Now I kind of do. But,
Yeah.
We're gonna have a Halloween. We're gonna do a Halloween candy talk today.
Why not? It is Halloween.
I mean, if we're gonna do it, we should probably do it. I'm just saying. By the way, I am getting our Montez goal up today, and I'm gonna shorten it a little bit because I know we've had a few already come in, which is great.
Skip.
Computers become sentient and destroy the world except for 5 people. Sounds like our future. Thank you, Lena, for appreciate that. We have Christmas Flying Engineer says Craig dressed as the Peter Pan that grew up and Blabs dressed as Wendy after a year at Liberal College. Lost boys.
That's a rest.
No, I don't. Heads up on that. Let's see. All right. Mercenary says this in the dollar on Rumble for Morticia Adams. Thank you very much. We'll have your.
For Morticia?
I feel like I'm about to have to skip entire sections. Lord have mercy. Actually, let me look at the direct VOD. Gaming history, Halloween segment, hard news, Oreo and Thanksgiving, NBA Jam Succession, Games on Clear, Smash vs. Colin.
Speak to that. I don't know if you want me to wait for the conversation.
Yeah, let's go get into this. Okay. So we were doing our fun-a-thon last week, and apparently what happened was you were talking about the Ghost of Yote sales figures. And give us a little background here. What was your stance on this?
So I don't really remember how it started, but I made a post basically talking about how the numbers from Circana are not necessarily what I would be trusting, and here's why. And I explained, like, they don't give actual data. They just give the places of where these games would fall based off of the sales numbers, based off of the games that qualify and provide information to Circana, based off of a certain time period, based off of a certain console. And I'm like, when you start drilling down all these stipulations and asterisks throughout just to get to, oh, it's 18th best selling. It's like, well, yeah, but that doesn't mean anything if you understand that there's so much more that goes into getting to that number.
And Rapture, for one, monetize these fools like Air July without getting your ego in the way. Smash, you need to stop giving the kind of attention they want while kicking the hornet's nest of these failed leftists. So here's my thing about that person who posted that. Yes, he should learn how to monetize his haters. Unfortunately, Smash JT does not know how to monetize his haters. Because he does not know how to monetize himself. Because he is specifically looking for the smoke. And he has gotten away with being a cockroach for far too long. That's the problem with why he got his cock slapped. He picks fights like a Twitter reply guy. In fact, actually, technically he is a Twitter reply guy. And then, when he ends up picking a fight with somebody who's got time for him, goes on to his show, or knows what they're talking about, and just looks at the clip, gets the clip raw, and then posts it. He's crying, saying the industry is bullying him. The industry is bullying him. Despite him constantly picking fights with the industry and trying to get one up on them. It started with the LinkedIn shit, and it's developed into this. His ego is going to keep getting in the way because he is an egotistic person. He's an egotistical person. His nature as a drama journalist does not support his ability to cover his bluster. It doesn't. If he's going to give attention to things, he's not going to do it the way you want, because his ego will not allow him. And monetizing it's not going to happen, because as much money as he could try to make off of them, somebody like Colin's going to make 10 times as much, just by proxy.
That it's basically useless to say unless you're trying to improve the image of a game that doesn't necessarily have a good image out there publicly. If you're trying to give the viewpoint of, oh, look, everyone's playing this game, you're missing out. FOMO. That's the angle that it feels like Circana goes on. So I made that post.
It doesn't. It's just showing fucking numbers, bro. Circana's purpose would not be to make you have FOMO to play the game. You play the game or you don't play the game. This is not a time-locked exclusive that is only on one platform. And it's not a game that's going to disappear from store sales if you don't get it day one. My question about Yote is simple. When did Sucker Punch/Sony announce sales milestones for Tsushima after launch? Have they done that with Yote? Can any of the Sony ponies be able, like Colin, be able to answer that? Well, he's not a Sony pony, but alright. Okay, cool. So, I suppose they probably wouldn't have answers for that, depending on what it is that you're trying to ask. If what you want is for them to announce what the sales goals are, the same way that Expedition 33 announced its sales goal all throughout release, the same way most games in Steam, whenever they get a chance for a news update post, allows them to show how much they've been selling since its first day release. I doubt that's going to happen, and I doubt it's going to happen on Serrano the way that you want it to. Which means you're going to get angry about the fact you're not getting the numbers that you want. Which, okay, what do you want now? Like, you want the moon, you want the stars? There's enough ambient light now. Like, do you want the moon, you want the stars? Do you want everything to perpetuate in a cycle? Like, what is it that you actually need? Because whenever they announce sales is whenever they announce sales. That's always been the marketing strategy. You're not really paying attention, and then boom, X million sold. You should be more worried about the actual conversation around the game and its mechanics, not the numbers that it sold. Because right now, you can see people making fun of the foot dive mechanic in Bloodlines because it's an actual fast travel method. Movement in that game is so broken that you can do a drop kick attack and move across the map faster than using your vampire abilities. That's something that's worth talking about. You don't have to talk about sales.
A little bit of background. Circana is the company that the video game industry uses. So Circana is a leader in providing technology, AI, and data to fast-paced moving consumer packaged goods companies, durable manufacturers, and retailers seeking to optimize their business. The idea that this is the company that the video games industry uses as a whole to say, hey, we sold X number of copies of this game.
Well, that's the image they want to portray, but the reality is it's not. It's the company that certain companies use in the video game industry, and they try, or at least gives the vibe or the impression of that they represent the game industry. It's like, no, you don't.
But they do. And yes, certain companies can be able to pull out. And then when they pull out of the company, their game's numbers do not appear. Which then means people are then going to be less likely to be able to trust what they sell. Which then means it becomes a actual stamp of approval for the fucking industry. Which means, by proxy of everybody being bought into it, and paying the Fortune 500 company cost numbers to get it, it then becomes the gold standard. Because everyone is in it, and if you're not in it, people are going to cast aspersions on your numbers. If what you're going to say is, well, that sounds like it's a big group that's trying to control it. No, it's an independent company that's disconnected from the industry as a whole. They get paid by them to collate the data heuristics, and then they print the data heuristic numbers that they then have because they are clients of the list. And as a way to get people to buy into the list, they then tease the numbers as a part of their sales strategy. You were told all of this by Colin. And yet somehow, here we go with the meta-narrative. Alright.
You represent your clients, your companies that provide you data, and you put that out there.
Offer 3, no better way to spend Halloween with Sci-Fi 55, blown out tire, blah, 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 blah.
and provide information to, I guess, sell a subscription to get the actual numbers from them for big-time investors and companies, things like that. But regardless of all that, I made that original post, and I make a lot of posts on social media. I didn't really think much of it until Colin Moriarty apparently took issue with it and belittled me and spoke down like I didn't know anything about it. And it's like,
you don't, you didn't, you still don't.
Almost like one of those, I challenge you to a duel, sir. Like one of those. And I'm like, I'm not afraid to have a conversation with someone. I try my best to go into every discussion with a good faith, like, I'm willing to hear you out if you're willing to hear me out. So I said, sure. I stream every weeknight, Monday through Friday, 8 p.m. Pacific time on my channel. Whatever works for you, let me know. And he responded with, how about tonight? I was like, okay, sure. And that was when I started getting flooded with DMs by basically everyone out there who was like, oh shit, man, you better be on point with this. You know, this is a big deal. You need to make sure this, that, the other thing. Other people saying, you cannot win this. Here's why. He's going in this with an agenda just to clip you because of the stipulations that he said it needs to stay up, stay public, and not behind a paywall.
Your entire channel's content is behind the members-only paywall. Every time you go live, during the time period, my time, of somewhere between 8 to 9 p.m. until 3 a.m. in the fucking morning, I have made a Cardinals yap about this as you were doing it. You post shit, you take news articles the same way almost all of everybody does. You say your dumb shit behind the fucking content wall, where you're looking at it with your audience. You take your donos, and you put the shit behind members only. There are very selective episodes that people can actually watch of your content without paying you a membership. So, if we want to use the comparative standard here, Sakana wants people to get a sub to be able to show and be a part of the collated numbers about sales that then are protected by this standard that they then ensure do not get leaked. You, as a businessman, want people to give you money as a supporter and sub to watch a show after the VOD without any amount of time where they can watch it for free. They have to catch you live during an important time on the internet. And after you've taken their money, even if they pay and cancel, you have taken their cash for a fucking membership so that you can be able to justify your logic behind why you use sub-only as your tool to hugbox your content while you talk mad dog shit about the industry. You content bait leftists, you irritate leftists using your Kotaku detected shit, and you actively tell stories and actively relay verbal altercations and verbal slander against people that you want to antagonize in your coverage of the drama you put on your channel, and you want to pretend that you're not putting out red meat for an audience to consume on a regular basis based on here's the thing to get mad at and here's the next 3 things to get mad at behind it. You want me to believe that you understand the basis of how you're supposed to sell people to become a sub through actual windowing of your content. I don't buy it.
Because obviously when you say that stuff, it means you want to be able to clip and be able to try to take people out of context. I'm like, I get it.
No. It means so that people can go see the original VOD in its full conclusion with absolutely no editing from beginning to end. And if you take a VOD of that, like I saved, before you privated that fucking stream, if it's not still up, people can then see you going through the chat room, and after you get your cock slapped into the ground, you going through your donos and reading off the expensive ones and the ones most supportive of you, coping about your loss. This alongside what your moderator told me as he debated me alongside another user in Cassie's audience, making the case to somehow support you. You're just a blogger. You're not a media journalist. You're not a news critic. You're just a blogger that's blogging on news. And you shouldn't be expected to take the time to invest yourself in the games that you're talking about by playing them. You don't have to invest yourself in the games that you talk about by actually owning a copy and speaking on actual things that are material to the game's content. No, you talk on the drama around an actress. And like you said during the debate, well, I see Erika Ishii doing weird shit like this and I'm out. Okay. Bold strategy. What did that get you? being mocked, and then him bringing up Abubakar Salim and how you guys acted around and about him, yeah, that's an L in the making. 100%, bro.
I know that, but I'm still not going to back down from a conversation, and I held true to my belief and values on it, which is, like I explained at the beginning of this, like, I don't think that they represent the numbers truthfully. I feel like it's misrepresenting real data. So that's where the confusion is with it, is they have honest, real numbers, and then behind the scenes can manipulate it by using the, oh, it doesn't fit this category or this category, so we can say it's higher up on the list, and we can say where it's like, it's doing great.
They're not manipulating the numbers. That is a fucking lie. You were told exactly what they do with the numbers. When they receive more accurate information, they update them. They're not changing them on the fly to fit a narrative and hiding it from the viewpoint of the public to spin doctor a story about them. Because no one's using the numbers on any content, Smash. That would be equivalent to insider trading news, which would be a leaking of the numbers. And that would get people who are using those numbers for that purposes probably banned and kicked from the program and from the subscription that they got to buy the numbers, to use them to look at the heuristics for the industry. Because it would be like insider trading. If you want a comparison of how it would be like insider trading, it would be like the military-industrial complex getting trolled again, like they were at the original beginning of the use of checkmarks on Twitter, when Elon Musk came into power, with people spoofing companies like Ray, and basically making people think that them and Lockheed Martin stopped being in the military-industrial complex business, wiping out a record number of how much was it? $2, $3, $4, $5 billion over a joke tweet, thus making them have to make it so that accounts could be verified with a gold checkmark rather than a blue checkmark, and cracking down on parody accounts. Or, more comparatively, imagine if you had the ability to see the inside numbers before Diamond Hands to the Moon, and you making money off of GameStop. Imagine if you had the ability to know that ahead of time. That's why they have those numbers like that. Because it would be a caustic problem. Because if the numbers work the way that you claim that they do, or that they work the way you claim they're using them, or controlling them, or keeping them, then the industry would be filling with all of these stories with numbers that aren't accurate, based on the system that normal people can't buy into, because it's a 6-5-figure number. It seems more likely that they're just protecting their numbers because that's the product they produce for the industry, and they're turning in the product that they promised to their customer base, which is the people who asked for those numbers.
Like it's actually doing good when it's not.
Right. So Circana is just doing some quick glance at this. They are a annual revenue of over $500 million, and they don't just work in the video game industry. They work with a ton of different industries to provide data, books, entertainment. You can see all here, food and drink. They are a data-driven company, and data is a very valuable thing today, right? So just for reference, I think it's important to point out. I also want to point out, like, we've had Colin on the show. I've had nothing but positive interactions with Colin. I actually very much like Colin. I think he's a good dude, right? I very much admire what he's done with Last Stand Media. I think it's very admirable. But it was interesting to see. Like, I see this as clashing of two different histories, right? Colin is looking at this from I've been there, I've worked in the corporate side of the gaming industry, the IGN, right?
Correct!
Right? I've seen this data, I've experienced it, and you're looking at it from a consumer perspective, right? He's looking at it from a professional perspective, he's looking at it as a consumer perspective.
Yep. But actually, let me interrupt you real quick and say that's what actually blew my mind, is because my assumption was that the viewers are customers. So I would think just by default, even if people like Colin, they would hear my argument and be like, oh, he's actually speaking for us. We actually align with him on this. But instead it turned into...
You, as a customer, don't need to look at data heuristics to decide whether or not a game is worth paying for your fucking money, bro. You don't need it! You should be thinking about whether or not it is a good representation of the company. You can be able to use news stories to see whether or not you're going to deal with the antics of the actress, and whether that's going to affect your opinion about the content, thus making your bias clear. You can have the ability to use your drama cloud farm to stoke up leading into a not going to happen gameplay session of the game, so that you can separate your opinion about the game from your opinion about the drama around the game. But you're not going to do that because you had no interest to in the first place. And when called on it, you decided to try and make it a cope argument about Circana trying to trick people into supporting games that are not popular. Bro, you control the dollars in your wallet. Why don't you try voting with it? And don't open your wallet for it.
A pissing match or a mudslinging fight, and then it's like rooting for their guy the whole time instead of being like, wait. And to your point too, going into the conversation with Colin, I never had any issues with him. I didn't know too much about him. I didn't know nearly as much as you did. But my mindset was to go into the conversation with good intentions and to give our viewpoints. And I feel like he didn't approach the conversation with that intent from the outset. He just started mudslinging. He's like shitting on my
Do you
intro.
have examples of like the whole mudslinging and talking down?
Yeah, before we brought him in, he was like, your intro is terrible. And I'm just like, that's a...
He said that your intro was not good because it had too much, and obviously it's AI generated, and thus feels soulless. Soulless, too long. Sure, let's characterize it as he already comes in hostile. Your shit is terrible, nigga! Okay, alright, cool. What else you got?
Hello, nice to meet you. I don't know who you are. That's the first thing you say to me. So,
Well, before we get to that, I want to show. There's about a 4-minute clip here, and this was kind of this clip popped off. This is from Legacy Killer HD. It says a ton of people. I'll just kind of read this, and we'll kind of watch this clip here. It says a ton of people upset with Circana's post report that said Ghost of Yokai is selling huge. Last night, Colin Moriarty debated Smash JT on it. Colin argued that data is accurate, while Smash argued that data creates a fake image. Things got a bit heated. I'm gonna play this in about time and quarter speed this week, and I know you lived at Smash, but I do think that there's important context to everybody's argument here. So let me go and play this real quick.
I feel like by presenting information as a partial picture with a whole bunch of stipulations attached to it, it paints a very fake image of reality that people run with to try to get a W. And it's like, well, what is the W? I guess I'm curious, like, what is Circana's W by presenting their clients with bad data? Go ahead. Have you seen the internet? What everyone's running with right now? How they're trying to get homes on everyone? Do you understand that Circana's data doesn't exist for the internet? It exists for the paying clients that rely on its reliability? And why does Matt even tweet anything else? Because I just said this earlier, because they tease the numbers so that you subscribe to get the actual data. That's why they do it. That's why they've done it forever. And in fact, back in the PS3 era, they stopped even doing that, and everyone got mad, so they started releasing them again. That's why. Like, this is a frustrating conversation. You say you work at SOE, how do you not understand this shit? It's like, it's crazy. No offense, like, how do you not understand?
Yep, thank you. That was the argument I said to the moderator. You claim that you worked for the industry. You claim to work for Sony Online Entertainment during a time period where they were in ownership of multiple properties that all would have been data tracked by Solana numbers. How do you not know this? Oh, that's because you're a fucking data tester. You're a game tester. You're a QA person. You're not actually in the industry. So why are you arguing with him about something that you should know? Oh, because you're not actually in the know. Thank you, Craig. You did your job.
Understand. I understand. I don't agree with it. Is my point. I feel like it needs to be more transparent, and I don't agree with the methods. I feel like it's very disingenuous. It paints a false image, and you're saying it's fine, bro. This is how it works. Maybe that's what the disconnect is. I'm saying,
This is how it works. You have to find someone that will. You have to find a new entity that can go to all the retailers and publishers and console manufacturers, get access to all the numbers, and then give you for free. That's what you're gonna find. In the meantime, there's a company that scrapes all that data and charges for it. I'm not protecting. That's just the way it goes. That's the way it always been. There's no territory in the entire world that shows their numbers transparently. There's none. Japan and Europe show retail numbers. Right. And they're not transparent numbers. Most people buy the games digitally. Those numbers are widely used.
Again, this is your opinion that you're saying is fact. You're saying most people buy it digitally. These are useless. Like that's not a factual thing. That's your opinion. I'm saying this is a factual thing we're looking at here. Something that's not lied. Not this is tangible. It's an actual graph showcasing sales in Japan. And all that.
Sales in Japan, which have a lot of protection that goes around the ability of having things in private. As is the case with my resident pocket Japanese, who happens to be stuck and stranded in Canada for reasons that have to do with a fucking parking light. Japanese numbers are the standout, and they are the holdover. They are the individuals that actively have numbers the way they do because they are only really concerned with their fan base and with their clientele, which, for Nintendo, who have always been the holdouts, as you were told in that debate, have it to themselves because they're not worried about Nintendo of America, or Nintendo of Europe, or Nintendo of any other region. Because Nintendo of Japan, Nintendo as the whole brand, they're only concerned with brand loyalty inside of Japan. If there was something that needed to be communicated, if they were a part of Solana, and somebody's loose lips blabbed about a project that was supposed to be under wraps and not discussed until it was time to reveal it, heads would fucking roll. If somebody had blabbed about Donkey Kong Bonanza, if somebody had blabbed about ages of imprisonment, if someone had blabbed about Mario Kart World Tour, if someone had blabbed about the finality of the product going into Metroid Prime 4 before it was revealed to themselves, anytime there would have been any game that has ever been hinted, hell, going as far back as when I made the hard call that they were going to rescue Tokyo Mirage Sessions from the Wii U, and they then announced the Encore Edition for the Switch. If someone had used Solana numbers on sales to show that there was an interest for that JRPG to be brought from the marketplace, and then they blabbed about it, especially with secret information that was a part of the company, to show their title plans to make a sequel, somebody's head would have rolled. Because that's insider trading information that was then given to the public without approval from the hierarchy. That is the problem that you're trying to compare against. They're more than happy to publicize certain numbers because Japanese numbers are Japanese numbers and American numbers are American numbers and European numbers are European numbers, and physical sales stores and retails are different from digital stores and purchases and online purchases of retails with or without gift cards or collector-only editions. They don't match. They're not the same. They're different categories. They're different energies. They're different categories. They're different energies. They're different categories. They don't work the same way. He shot you down about this when you tried to bring up the Famitsu numbers. You can't use these numbers that way. They don't work the same. They're not tracked the same. They don't have the same purpose.
By the way, retail sales. Retail sales.
Do you understand that that's a huge caveat?
There is a huge caveat. You could also sell for Tsushima digitally too. It's not just digital. So you're showing retail, you're showing retail sales over the last 5 years. That's no. I mean, I guess we could show another chart showing other sales of
Holy moly.
line up with Tsushima. And now we're trying to move the goalposts. I thought a good argument was based off of the direct competition of its predecessor. Because most sequels, I think, given the industry long enough, companies expect a sequel to far exceed and outperform the original.
That's not necessarily true. I don't know where that comes from. Yeah, you go, absolutely. What would you like to say?
So, I mean, I want people to notice just the demeaning nature of how he's just, and maybe people that don't like me would be like, yeah, because you're an idiot. But it's like, regardless of that, he was being a dick. Where I'm just like, I'm trying to have a conversation. He's like, how do you not understand it? Didn't you work in the game industry? Oh my god.
You claim that you worked in the game industry and you're fighting about something somebody in the industry would know. This is like you trying to improperly operate a machine. And I, as a technician, say to you, bro, what are you doing? Where's your PPE? Don't you understand how to run this machine? And you saying, yeah, bro, I know all about it. And then you continue doing something that would endanger your life and mine. You have to stop being a victim.
It's like basically the equivalent of, you're a moron. This is a ridiculous conversation. You're too stupid for this conversation. I'm like, that's not.
You were too stupid for that conversation because you did not know about what the Serrano numbers actually were applied for. And you kept making an argument that wasn't accurate.
Because that was, to be honest, that was my feeling of what he's saying to me, when his counterpoints weren't making any sense at all. But I'm not going to say, how do you not understand this, Colin? I'm not going to talk to him like that. I'm trying to have an open conversation about, here's how I got to where I am and why I feel the way I do. And he's like, no, that's wrong, and you're stupid because you think that. And then with the physical sales in Japan, which is the only tangible data that we have currently, directly relating it to Tsushima, and he tries to take the task on that, saying that because there's been a quote-unquote decline in physical sales, that chart is meaningless. And I'm like, but it's not meaningless because this is Japan. And if we're talking about any region that still values the physical media, it's Japan. And oh, by the way, too, they're going to be buying digital copies of this game, of course, just like they did with Tsushima. And you could argue that most likely far more copies of Tsushima sold digitally because it came out during the pandemic when everyone's at home. Right. So the arguments that he was trying to make to defend his standpoint really.
You're also forgetting that this push for digital sales, as I mentioned before, and I mentioned in my talk with this mod, came out during a time period where people would have had an interest in having physical sales before the industry tried to push for their new standard of new games having the newer sales price of $70 to $80 to $90, where the $90 sales premium is what you get for trying to ask for a physical copy versus the cheaper but still more expensive at the time 60s, 70s, 80s that were made as a expanded edition. Because the industry decided to move from doing physical collector's editions into doing digital collector editions that had promise of NFT content that would be released in the future. They did it for a very large handful of games, including Sun to Bright, including the likes of which they did for things like Monster Hunter Wilds. They did it for Monster Hunter Wilds with the updates that were going to come in the future. They did it in the case of Doom the Dark Ages with the DLC content that's supposed to update the campaign that is yet to be announced. They more than likely did it with what was inserted into Borderlands 4. They did it and will do it again for a lot of titles. Because that's how the industry sells that now. They didn't have the same mindset during COVID. It's like people having the interest of having loot boxes, and now they just buy gamer subs. And the fall of good businesses like Humble Bundle going the way of the dodo with the things that they were invested in trying to sell to people. They're not the same, bro. You can't compare them. Why are you still trying to?
Weren't good. He was just being a dick to me, and I was trying my best to be cordial. And in hindsight, I'm like, man, I should have just matched his intensity and been a dick back to him. But that's not me. Like, I'm not. When I have someone on my channel, I just want to have a conversation about something. He's extremely aggressive with it, and I mean, I just felt like at least
has never heard about having passion for opinion and position. That's also on you. You're the one who holds the channel. You are specifically asking for him to be there. you've chosen to do this thing where you're trying to have that conversation with him. It is your job to match that energy and intensity. If you don't, it is your fault. It's your show. Why don't you try being a fucking host and do your show the way that you're supposed to be doing your show? Lots of answers to this, bro. Lots and lots and lots of answers.
I got my mindset out there for people to see it. I was actually a little bit surprised at the fallout from the community where they're just like, yeah.
Ooh. I got a hit back from the Pretty Sure Games. I actually have a full release key for their game. Oh, wow. Oh, wow. That's going to be useful. We'll talk more about that at a later date. That's a mispronunciation tool I'm going to use later down the line in this week or next week.
Fuck Smash, he sucks, Colin's smart, he's dumb. Instead of actually listening to what transpired and how he's just a dick the whole time.
Right. Well, I think it's interesting. I mean, Colin speaks with authority. That's kind of what he does. He's very well spoken in how he speaks, and he will talk over you. I mean, that's just kind of how he presents himself, you know. But he is articulate in how he presents things, and but I do think there was definitely some talking over, and it sounded a little, you know, there was some condescending nature to it, you know, with how he was presenting his stuff, his points here. But so this goes back and forth. I saw the poll. I just kind of saw a screenshot of it where I guess the people in the chat thought that it was more or less a landslide. People thought Colin's part of the debate was better, like it was like a 70-30 split or something like that.
Yep.
And this was in your chat, right? So were there like a lot of Last Stand Media fans who came over and
yeah, that's one way to put it. I do want to clarify something because I did get it wrong, and I didn't lie. I'm mistaken, and thank you, Nick, in the chat for correcting me on this. He said Smash already lied. Smash quoted Colin on X, which is true. I forgot that. I'm sorry. So yes, I was the one that quote tweeted Colin when Colin was.
Yes! Drag him! Drag him! Make him honest!
Like talking about Sarkana's numbers and how it's doing great and he loves the game, and then I quote tweeted Colin being like, well, I don't trust the numbers. So thank you for the clarification on that, Nick. I didn't lie on purpose. That's the other thing too. People think that like when you say stuff you're just being disingenuous to
Well, you see, when you go out of your way to act smug as you are, and then you're acting as though it is difficult for you to do this thing called holding yourself accountable and telling the truth and just accepting things as they are and as they happen and as they are, it makes people think that you have a desire to pull away from the embarrassment, which you are indeed. You have tried to pull away because it embarrassed you. You were embarrassed. You were embarrassed. The more you try to pull away, the more I'm going to pull your hand back. This is your lie burn. You can either stay calm and stop trying to pull away, or you're going to get burned harder. And it's going to hurt more and 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 more. Or you can accept that the thing that you're saying was not accurate, accept it, own it, move forward, and stop coping about it. You shouldn't have to have that happen by you being live. You should just be able to do it by just being honest. But unfortunately, you don't like doing that. It is the opposite of your goal and modus operandi. You prefer acting the other way.
To get a point across. My whole brand is based on being honest and truthful about how I feel about stuff. So if I
No, it's not.
get something incorrect, it's not trying to get one over on people. It's just I'm not perfect. I fuck things up too.
Which I mean, you fucked up. You've done it before. You've apologized on things. I fucked up. If you don't fuck up on the internet when you're live as much as you are, then you're probably not being you, right?
Yes, exactly, exactly. To the point of the questions of the poll and stuff, that's kind of twofold because one, I felt good after the conversation was over. I felt like I could have done better, but I feel like at least I got my point out there. I made that poll for fun, not thinking like much of it, but it was basically, did Colin win? Did Smash win? Or was it a draw? And the numbers were, I guess.
You went in with the intention of saying, no, you're wrong about Serrano numbers, and also we as consumers shouldn't trust them. He went in with the intention of telling you the numbers are the numbers. Why are you arguing about these numbers? Oh, you say you're a part of the industry. Then you super shouldn't be arguing about these numbers. And then you decided to get pissy, and you decided to make some comments about him and how you thought that he was losing the debate, and then he read your ass to filth to the nines by reading the titles from your own videos. Because you wanted to act like you didn't know what clickbait was. And most importantly, which was really the kill shot, you think that people should be bothered to click on your clickbait, and then they should be forced to watch that content and see that clickbait that doesn't give them the information they need. So at what point inside this video about how many woke retards are doing something stupid like announcing their queer status before they play an online video game or a single player video game during a speedrunning event? Where in the coverage of this am we going to get to the deep dive breakdown of your coverage of your behavior talking to Colin? The correct answer to that question, Smash, we can do this because he didn't do what you did, is labeled specifically at the beginning of the section at 127.45. So if I didn't care about any of these other things like the Games Done Queer story bit, or the NBA Jam successor, or the Oreo/Thanksgiving, or your Halloween segment, as well as the talks about gaming history, I can skip through it and immediately get to the part that I'm interested in. But in your content, if I want to look at your actual opinion about the content inside of the packaging of Dragon Age Veilguard, I am not going to get that on your video. What I'm instead going to get is you dead-naming, and I don't know if there's a word for dead-facing, but dead-facing, Corian Bush, and how they looked before as a man, and then how they looked then as a woman, and making snide comments about their gender appearance, than you actually telling people about what's in the fucking video game. Inside of your diatribe about how Twitch is losing and failing and Amazon is cutting their gaming department and it's a win for gamers, where am I going to get the deep dive knowledge of the content inside of Ghost Yote? Where inside of you using Erika Ishii to make a digital minstrel puppet am I going to get an exemplar of you telling me anything or everything at all interesting about the games that I play in front of me? It's not there. Because it doesn't exist. You are extremely bad at doing your job. At which point, again, are you a journalist or are you an entertainer? If you're just an entertainer, then it doesn't matter. But then it also means you don't have any power to speak on issues. Not with authority. If you're a journalist, then you need to start carrying yourself like one. And actually take questions. Take comments. Take concerns. And stop hiding your platform content behind the paywall to say, oh, well, you need to become a member. You need to become a member. Ain't gonna get it.
I'm trying to think like what they were specifically, but if you and this is a little bit of cope, but if you combine the tie and Smash wins, it was 60 Colin, 40, it was a tie.
Well, allow me to spin that the other way, and that if you combine the tie with the other way, you get absolutely slaughtered, right?
Yeah, exactly.
But hey, I guess that's kind of the idea of what you're talking about, is that data can be skewed however you want it to be, right? Just because
I mean, if you want to read the data like a fucking retard, then you can absolutely do that. But most people are not going to read that as an absolute retard. So when they look at that debate, they don't even have to use your poll numbers to figure out whether or not the poll itself is accurate. They can just see the framing of the question and how you react and say, lol, bro didn't get the result he wanted. And so he privated and didn't look at the opinions of all the other people there, or did something to them to replace them. Reputation? What's that? Losing it because I lie? No, that's just a myth.
We've seen this a lot over the last few years. I think that's...
But also to build on that too, right. I'm sorry to interrupt, but that was also with my chat that had, at the peak, I think there were 14 or 1,500 people in the chat, and my typical live stream has like 300. So there was a lot of people that didn't know who I was, didn't like me, or were just big time fans of Colin in there as well. It did kind of turn into one of those rooting for who we like better over listening to the conversation and taking away who they actually felt won.
Yeah, I mean, that's the internet, right? And I guess my thing is, couldn't you both be right? Your argument is that, and I know that Colin is saying that the data says this, you're saying the data says this, right? You're both looking at it from different perspectives. And
pause. That's not what Colin said. Colin said, I understand your position, and I agree. And also, I know what it is you're talking about, but this is the numbers are the numbers. Claiming that Colin browbeats you is dishonest, because he was cordial until you decided to be nasty.
And, like, we've seen that so many times over the last 5, 6, 7 years, where the data says this, and somebody goes, no, it actually, and what I mean by that is, Ghost of Yote could be underperforming compared to Tsushima, but it could still be a success. right? The numbers say it's a success. Well, you're saying yes, but not as a success as what it could be, I guess. And maybe that's...
It's a very partial picture. Like, you can say anything's a success if you take away reasons why it would not be a success. Like, we don't have enough information on it to clarify one way or the other. And it kind of falls in line with, I have, if you don't mind bringing up my screen real quick. Sure. I brought this when I was talking to Colin, talking about how this is, I'm not going to read through the whole thing, but basically how Matt Piscatel's, this peddling Ghost of Yotei was great. It's the same guy that said Assassin's Creed Shadows was the best-selling game line, that Dragon Age of Veilguard was doing good, that other games as well, Star Wars Outlaws, despite lukewarm reception, Star Wars Outlaws is third best-selling game of August. Assassin's Creed Shadows has been the best-selling video game in the US for the first 3 weeks. All these games are monumental failures for the respective companies. Ubisoft, BioWare, Dragon Age of Veilguard, PC Volume. If PC Volume was included, it would have placed even higher on the best-selling title chart, perhaps as high as third overall. And just over and over, I've seen this story too many times to fall for it again. So now when we get this one, with 1 week on the market, US sales performance of Ghost of Yotei was basically flat with Ghost of Tsushima. It did great. I'm like, no, it didn't. If you look at the physical sales in Japan and expand those out with the same percentages of digital downloads, it's doing terrible. If you expand that across the world, it's doing awful. So if you just take a specific segment in a specific area at a specific time frame in a specific console, then yes, you can make it say whatever you want, but it doesn't mean it's successful. And I think in the long term, it could actually ultimately end up hurting the companies and giving a false sense of security for the people working at the studios, thinking it's doing good when it's not. So there are a lot of factors that play into this that I feel like are being ignored, just so people can just be like, it's doing great, and you're wrong because you said it's not doing great, which in a weird way is kind of what this is all about.
Cope.
It's having fun talking about it.
So after you guys talked about it, you guys get in a little spat online. You guys kind of go at each other, and you, let's see, we have this.
Is that what you call that? Lash JT getting fucking upset and retweeting and quote tweeting any person who has the clips on him?
Person over here, I'm just gonna pull up some random tweets that were out there. You had talked about how you were glad he came on, and this guy says, "Wow, Smash is still crashing out over his thumping" by Colin.
Well, interesting fun fact about this guy who posted this and tagged Colin is I have him blocked for like coming at me and personal attacks for a while. Like, to me, it's someone who is not, we'll say, ideologically aligned with my outlook on life, and you could argue that is someone that is someone politically leaning a different direction than me, will say.
Sure.
And I find it curious that Colin starts off our conversation saying he's a conservative, yet when you look at who he quote tweets, who he follows, and the circles he runs in, it would be anything but that. And you could argue, oh no, he just...
You're not allowed to have conversations with people of other viewpoints. Not allowed to have conversations with people that he considers his mortal enemies. Not allowed to have conversations about and or do content with or around people that are ill-approved. The cathedral is the cathedral. All hail the cathedral. Despite the fact that that shit doesn't make fucking sense and is the definition of you being hypocrites about free speech. Because it means you don't actually care about what people have to say. It means you care about what people have to say if they're a big figure. What wonderful etiquette, you goddamn idiot.
Sees people from all aspects of politics and things like that. Sure, but that's not what I've been seeing. It just strikes me as someone who's just being disingenuous. That's my feeling on the situation, though. And people get mad at me for having vibes and being honest about how I feel about it. That's how I feel. I'm not gonna lie about it.
Well, you're talking kind of the mudslinging here, and Colin actually was. This is kind of what you're asking about. The kind of quote tweet here says. Colin said, "It's not surprising, is it? When you're a tourist who doesn't really play many games or know much about the industry that creates them, you're reduced to whatever this is. I'm truly grateful I don't have to make content for vegetables. It must be absolutely
Right, but did you not start off by calling him a shill first before any of this happened?
Yes!
But I do not
Yes!
Did you not keep, I feel like I'm interrogating here. But, sorry, did you have Colin backstage for 17 minutes before you brought him on in an intro?
No, but I'm really glad you brought that up because that is one of those misnomers that's getting tossed around right now and it's extremely frustrating.
So what you're telling me is that you didn't talk to him with your gentleman's agreement and your mod lied. Is that what you're selling, Labs? Because that's not what your mod said. Your mod said something entirely different that you could be able to prove by showing the DMs. So either you talked to him, or you didn't talk to him, or you were talking ahead of time, and you were just making some shit up, and you were doing something similar to what I did with Obsidian, where I was talking to him before we went live about, just talking basic shop. We had one conversation that was introductions between the two of us, had another conversation afterwards, which was us actually talking about topics. So, which one did you do? Did you actually have, a discussion and a conversation the way that I had this conversation? Did you decide that you were going to call a man a shill, as he is a person who historically never takes fucking swag? Or did you talk to him in the DMs, give him a list of requests and demands, and him give you his list of demands, and then you decide that you were going to do X, Y, and Z things where you wanted to have the show set up, and that you were going to drag him in where the show played? Because Colin's opinion told you that he came in afterwards, after your show was over, or rather after your introduction was over. And then he said the thing that got you tilted, amongst other things that he said that got you tilted. Because you had already talked to him ahead of time. And the moderators too. Because they were already blocking and banning and removing posts and removing chats the entire stream. Which you were keeping your eye on and watching. because you were not necessarily paying attention to that debate when you were not allowed to go forward with your talking point the way you wanted to go forward with your talking points. Thank you! God damn! I love you, plebs. Marry me in an alternate timeline. Star doesn't have to know.
Behind the scenes, I set up the conversation with Colin in DMs. He said, what time do you want me there? I said, 8:15 p.m. Pacific time, because of my intro and my start. I want to do the welcomes and everything like that. He's like, cool. So we agreed on 8:15.
So you, in fact, did talk to him into the thing. You, in fact, did have a conversation about when you wanted him there. And this plays into what your mod said about the gentleman's agreement. So post the fucking DMs.
So I start my stream at 8 o'clock, like I always do. Play the intro, that's about 9 minutes or so. Get into the hellos and the welcomes. And Colin joined in.
Your intro should not be 9 minutes, by the way. For context, in case anybody's forgotten, this is my introduction / theme music. This loop plays naturally for a short amount of time. To be accurate, how long it actually plays for, based on how long I made it, was made from a loop from an artist known as Low Ranger. The soundtrack itself called which I then matched to the Vaporwave visuals for the Fried Chicanery podcast, which originally was the Audacity podcast, that was meant to talk to artists during the time of the Art Wars, that I then repurposed into my podcast. This opening is not longer than, at best, 2 minutes. So let's see here. Where is my raw? Where is my raw? I guess we can just use this one, because I can't seem to find my raw. So, straight from a rip, from 5 years ago, when I first moved into this house, here is an example of my opening from the first and only edition of The Amusement that was done with George Alexopoulos before he blew up over his political cartoons.
Right, they were looking for people who were dog whistling, basically. And they had decided, because they went to my Twitter, they deep dived me on the internet. They're like, oh, he follows X, Y, and Z on Twitter. He must be an alt-right person.
Did that take 9 minutes? No, it did not. Now, for context, there are 2 different loops that exist inside of a playlist. One of those playlists, or actually the playlist, is my OC joke posting playlist. That OC joke posting playlist is most of the main backlog that exists around a bunch of other shit that I've made over the years. And as you might notice, the Fuckboy Anthem, which is the long version that I have playing here without my deep, evil fucking laughing at the beginning, is the version that I have on the soundboard that I can play directly from OBS. Because it's meant to be a loop in that way. Because that's for backgrounds on videos and I use it for the sound effect, for the BGM. You don't need to have an intro. That is 9 fucking minutes long. Why do you think you need to have an intro that goddamn long, bro? What's the conventional sense? What's the conventional reason? There is none. It's just bad. Make a new one.
In about 8:13 p.m. Pacific time. while I was doing the super chat reading, and I said, oh, I see Colin in the back room, so I'm just going to fly through these, and we'll bring him in. And I believe I even brought him in 8:14, like a minute early. And then I saw the follow-up from that. People were like, because Colin came in bitching about his intro, that Smash was trying to do some sort of power play to hold one over him to make him sit there and wait. I'm like, no, he wasn't sitting there and waiting. And it was kind of like dick of him to shit on my intro when he wasn't even there to give.
He's allowed to have an opinion on whether or not your intro is shit and dog.
People the impression that I was making him sit there and wait through it. I'm like, no, I told you 8:15. I told you this is the time we're going to have you on. He agreed to it, had no issues with that, and then all of a sudden it was an issue because he had to sit through an intro. I'm like, this is the time we said we'd have you on, and I had you on at that time. So I feel like it was pretty disingenuous, and there are people that are running with that, like I was making him sit there. No, I didn't.
So, what was interesting though was kind of how, like, it felt looking from the outside in as somebody who wasn't there for this live thing, but I was just kind of seeing the rubble that has been spread from this dust up. After this, Colin, he called you the tourist, right? Called, I'm guessing, the audience vegetables, which I think that's not the best, right? By any means, but this person here responded, and this
who is this person?
This person is this person.
Not oh wait,
this is the
waitress.
The waitress. I think that's the best way to say it. Yes, the waitress, who we'd like to welcome her to all of our clips. It's great to see you. Thank you for watching, by the way. I'm sure you're going to
lawsuit.
So yes, you're being sued by the waitress, and so she chimes in, and I can't even see it because I guess she's limited to the post here, but the long and short is she's like, oh, it'd be great to talk to you, Colin, right? Which, as opportunists find.
We've all seen the clip. We've all seen the screenshot. He gets a message by Alyssa. Alyssa says she's looking forward to having a conversation with him. Colin is friendly.
They just slide on it. By the way, it'd be great to talk to you. By the way, I'm just this person. Just went over there. And Colin's like, hey, I'd love to. And the irony here is that Colin
says, I love to. I was bummed you didn't accept my invitation some months ago. I don't think we agree on much. 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 That's not him thirsting. That's not him trying to do a swap pip to try and get himself some Erica fucking Kirk ass. That is him saying, hey, thanks for taking my thing. I don't think we're going to agree on much, but I'd like to talk to you. And all of you decided acting like cancel pigs was the correct response. Because, oh, look, Colin's trying to get back into that. He's trying to get back into the fucking ivory tower. He's trying to become woke. Shut that shit up. Shut that shit the fuck up. That's not true. And you probably already know that that's not true, but it doesn't matter. You feel some type of way. He embarrassed Smash live on camera. That means he's already hypocritical. He had an agenda. Despite Smash having his own agenda. Question mark. I say with a pregnant pause. In my best impression of the Home Improvement sound effect.
has reached out in the past. I was bummed you didn't accept my invite some months ago, right? To where I think it speaks a lot to the waitress's motivations when she wants to speak to you when it comes to, this little dust up that she's having with, or that you're having with Colin right here, and she wants to kind of pop on there. So
hey, I got it, by the way, if you want to share my screen.
Oh, sure. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, let's see.
So this is her. She says, let's chat. And Colin responds, I'd love to. I was bummed you didn't accept my invite some months ago. I don't think we agree on much.
Are you telling us that we couldn't have read what was on the fucking screen, bro?
But I know we could have a very fruitful and interesting conversation that a lot of people would enjoy. Email me your thoughts whenever you'd like, which I have a lot to say about this, but before I can get into that, I don't think we'd agree on much, but we definitely can agree on some. I'm not really on here anymore, so I'll email you. What this is, for people that aren't aware, Colin and Alyssa both live very close to each other. I would not be very surprised if it turned out that they knew each other in real life and were buddy-buddy behind the scenes. It would not surprise.
So, making an accusation of him because they happen to live in the area of New York City, implying that he's a undercover lover, implying that he is a personal friend, implying that he has reasons to platform her or to try and get back into the good graces of the video game cathedral, implying a bunch of shit that you can't fucking prove. Why don't you bring out the DMs that showed your gentleman's agreement? That shows that you can say he was acting uncordial from what you had agreed was possible. Why not show proof that says, well, see, he acted in a way that was against what we agreed we were going to talk about. And I was blindsided by him and felt the need to defend myself when I wouldn't normally because I'm a person that doesn't like being aggressive. Where's any of the evidence that go along with that? Again, why did you not just do the same thing I said to your moderator, which is, why didn't you just do that? Why is it that you're spurging instead of just showing the thing that clarifies and also condemns him? Like, you have information that, similar to, say, exposing a hypocrite on a campaign trail, would not only destroy their career, but would secure an eternal victory over the situation. And you're just sitting on that bomb? You're sitting on the information? It's like a plot point. in the newest Tron Ares movie. Spoilers, by the way, but I don't think there's many of you that's going to go watch that shit. There is a hack that is done by Dillinger Systems to try and get information about the permanence code in the movie. The person left in charge of Encom, some fucking guy called AJ, gets a call, or calls, Dillinger, and lets slip that he knows not only that it was him that hacked Encom, but also knows that he had a speaking arrangement with the government, and he did not arrange to reveal the information to said government members, that because there is no permanence code to the use of AI soldiers and their technology, that after 30 minutes, technically 29 minutes, they de-res automatically and cease to exist because the permanence code is not in effect. This is you assuming something, making accusations about something, and not just simply going past middlemen and reporting on it yourself and exposing it. You get a lot of clicks, get a lot of views, get a lot of support. I'm telling you. But no, that's not the argument we're going with. Okay.
I'd say.
It's just conjecture.
Yeah, I don't
nothing
know.
relevant.
Right.
No, I'm saying it would not surprise me if they were. And to me, when I read this, it strikes me as public, hey, I don't know you, you don't know me, let's talk to let everyone know. It's like, what are we doing here? If you guys do know each other, what are we doing here? It's just a song and dance, it feels like to me.
Well, I'll say this. I don't know if that's like I don't think that's necessarily fair. Personally, I don't know. Like I don't know Mercante. Like I said, we invited her on the show fucking 2 years ago, whatever it was, and before she became whatever it is she is. But to say like they may know each other, I don't know. I think there's a lot of assumptions right there.
Yeah. Also, didn't he like turn her down or vice versa a couple months ago in that thread? So I don't really think it's any relevant
I
whatsoever.
don't know, but
Maybe, I don't know.
Regardless, look, I don't know the relationship. You don't know
I just think it's
relationship.
curious that it's a very, like Craig was saying, it's very opportunistic. Yes. Like, you're literally suing me, and you're the first one in the replies to get a story out of this, calling me the person harassing you. Like,
have you ever seen what happens with people like you in this career? All of you are muckrakers. You're all dirty little piggies playing in the mud. Dirty little piggies playing in the mud, going to other people to get salacious fucking hits and tweets and clicks and bops and bits and bots, to get stream time, to get view time, to get drama time on your content on your channels. We are all people who understand how the attention economy works. She, even in her stupidity, would know how the attention economy works. You're putting a lot of castigation, and you're putting a lot of motivation, and you're putting a lot of prognostication, and you're putting a lot of assumptions on something that you cannot confirm. But on the things we do know, and that we have gotten from a supposed trusted source that should be able to attest to it, you can't seem to accept the idea that if you were to get shat on, which the entire industry was told about, and all of them talked about it, that she would do the same. And even seek to get information from the source. So in the same way that I, in good faith, wanted to talk to Arthur Samowski during his drama, she, in bad faith, would want to get close and buddy-buddy to somebody who would be positive to her and her coverage, that would be ameliorative to her left-wing tactics and her left-wing talking points. This is preposterous to you. This is something that is weird to you. It's almost like you're not a journalist.
what are we doing here? Regardless of if they know each other or not behind the scenes, the optics of this are insane.
I agree with you on that. I definitely agree with you. I think that the optics of her just kind of swooping in out of nowhere and being like, oh, hey, by the way, I'm never on this platform, but I just wanted to, kind of throw this out there because, hey, whatever. Just because I'm extremely opportunistic here. And actually, I think 8-Bit Eric actually says it pretty well. Over on X, Eric said, says a lot about her every time Smash has a conflict with someone. She suddenly reappears after being gone from X just to tell people they need to chat, right? She's suing for harassment. Yet I was always there at a moment's notice. Clearly, you're not blind to that, right? And I think that's the bigger thing here. Is it's very, come on, you see a rat, looks like a rat, it's a rat, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's the more fair take there, which is that she's obviously observing, she's obviously talking, she's obviously lurking and waiting, and she's reappearing to see if she can try to get something in that she can then use for her purposes. That is a fair statement to make. What you're implying, Smash, is an unfair statement to make, and is cope.
Anyways, so the feedback, I'll say this has been really interesting for us because we've had you on many times. You came down for, one of our events. It was great. We had a great time. Like I said, but the perception, you've had a lot of people who are like, fuck Smash, fuck that guy, right? So much so that I thought it would just be funny to go down when we posted that you were going to be on the show yesterday. The response on the Side X handle.
Can I just say that like Smash was booked a month ago, guys, and it just so happened that all this happened in between.
Yeah,
just want to point that out. Like I booked this in advance.
Yes, this happens all, like, for the record, we have people booked out like till 2026 at this point. We have an entire calendar, like November's booked, December's like booked, we're booked. So it just so happens, you know, like there'll be people who show up like, oh, how'd you get them? Like, oh, you know, just totally looked into it. But
Well, the way I fumble myself into my own antics in life, I don't think Labs is that surprised that there was a situation that took place anyway.
Honestly, no, I kind of expected with Smash at this point. I'm like, what's he done today?
well, let's see some of the. I think it'd be fun to kind of read some of these comments here because we do have just a lot of questions here from folks, and I want to read these off verbatim to kind of get your response. Did you see what people?
I'm not in these. I went afterwards because I was under the impression he was going to be going live today. But no, it was last night.
Saying about you in the comments?
I saw a couple. I don't see them all.
Okay, let's just go down from top to bottom here. Let's see. There's one about Kirsha. Thinking about a podcast that no longer talks about video games is hosting a fool that never talks about video games.
Well, I need to hold on. What qualifies as talking about video games?
Listen.
Talking about the games. Talking about the game's content. Talking about events that are in the game that you would only know by consuming the game. Talking about the news and the drama around said game because of the events and the context inside the game that you would only be able to speak on because you played the game. Debunking, refuting, discussing drama created around people such as Video Game Donkey, who could only be refuted with content gotten directly from the game that you are playing. Like when I bought my digital copy of Dragon Quest XI to debunk his inability to tell the truth about a genre he clearly fucking hates. The same way anybody could have against people like Aaron Hansen. Or individuals who clearly only get their opinions from YouTubers. Talking about the numbers for the game and actually relating them to real world interest. Like, are you hyped for this title? If so, why? If not, why not? And explain and pontificate on why. Things that you don't do on your channel because you're more interested in following internet drama that has more to do with influencer culture than actual video games. I think that's about good.
If there's one thing I've learned over the last 2.5, almost 3 years, is that if you don't spend the entire time talking about video games, you are not a video game podcast.
This brings me back to the whole accusation from calling me a tourist, where like I literally stream games almost every night on my alternate channel, and I go through that and explain.
You do not play games on your alternate channel. That is a VOD channel from your main channel, where you like to show things that you are doing on that channel, and then put behind a paywall that people would not be able to access if they didn't give you a sub on that channel too. It's okay to be a tourist, baby. Baby, it's okay to be a tourist. It's okay to be casual. It's okay to be a hobbyist. It is not okay to fucking lie and cope and seethe. Because if you want a working example of what it looks like to talk about video games, the bare minimum would be Varadark. To not use myself as an example, the bare minimum would be Varadark. Play the games, talk about the drama, talk about the subject matter of the content, review the content. News, takes, views, news, rants, reviews. That's what it takes to talk about the game content. If those 5 things are not all happening, you are not doing your job. And at that point, you're just gossiping about rumors, and about rumor milling, and about interesting, distracting current events that are more interesting to talk about. Because you are bored out of your mind, looking for something to replace your regular intake.
When he instantly moves the goalpost to a different conversation.
Would Angry Joe be the bare minimum? Yes.
Yes, it's amazing. We are a life podcast. We are a podcast about normal people and normal men. That's what we are. And video games are an underlying theme. But thank you, random X Twitter account that has 0 followers.
I mean, the following doesn't matter. It literally doesn't matter.
Oh,
like,
shut up, Laz. That's such a burner account. Shut up.
They
That's so
follow you,
stupid.
Greg. They're talking shit about your podcast, saying that it's not what they want, and they follow you.
Right, exactly. So they're just looking.
Following the accounts does not mean that they are supporters of you. It means that they look at your posts and get updates when you tweet. Retweets, follows, and reposts are not endorsements. You know this. You follow people that you want to talk about and that you want to follow up stories on. Stop acting retarded. You know this.
and to be laughed at, which is exactly what we're gonna do. Your followers, Vlad, they have zero. It's a burner account.
Yeah, I know, but like regardless of like the following or whatever it is, that doesn't matter.
Vlad, allow me to kind of put this into perspective for you. If they have to make a fake account to say something, their opinion is void. It doesn't matter because they're not brave enough to say it with a real account.
No, that's not true, Craig.
If you're going to say, if they have to use a burner account, that they're cowards, if they say it in a video and reply directly to you, are you going to play it back on your stream and then invite that person to go talk to you? I doubt it. I highly doubt it. For the same reason I did what I did, talking my opinion about Smash, I know for a fact he's not going to reply to it. Because it makes too fucking much sense. It speaks directly to the heart of the problem. For all the energy people love to say, with feeling like I talk too much, or with feeling like I get lost in the reeds, which also came up in that discussion, where I was then being 2-on-1 by two people trying to defend Smash and say that he's a hobbyist, he's a blogger, he doesn't deserve to be considered a news journalist. It is very easy to understand these points. Either you're one thing or you're not. Either you understand the point being explained or you don't. Either you get it or you don't. And if you don't get it, after how many times you've been in a dust up, you're unintentionally doing it, bro. If you're going to pretend that then, therefore, everybody who reacts to you using a burner account or using an additional account so they can be able to maintain access to what you're seeing and speaking on what you're saying, like on what you're saying on your content, without needing to be behind a hug wall so they can then be able to actually influence the conversation by being able to actually post, they must not have opinions to be mattered. Well, you know, it depends. If they are there just to stir shit, you would ignore them. If they have actually something salient to say, you shouldn't be ignoring them. Unfortunately, that's not how people actually use Twitter. They just go off the energy of whatever it is they're interested in. And anything that goes against that energy is caustic. And they avoid it.
That's not true, because we have Collective Shout that uses those burner accounts to prove a point that they're being harassed.
So we found
people that do not count.
We found it right here. But yes, 30 likes. You know what? I like that as well. There it is.
Nice.
Everybody go like that right there. That'd be good. Smash JT doesn't play video games.
This person does not even deserve a response. Continue on.
We place an odds if he brings up Colin. You did, because that's why we're here.
I mean, to be honest, it was not my. I was here for whatever you wanted to talk about. So
yeah, that's true. Here we go. The fact that your video game podcast has to announce your guest also loves video games says a lot about the guest and how he doesn't actually like or play video games. Hey, I'm gonna get on Sam about that, our social media guy.
The fact your video game podcast has to announce your guest also loves video. Does he not understand your sarcasm?
Right. You love video games. Hey, Sam, stop with that nonsense. That's ridiculous. Here we go. Still waiting. Buster, let's see. When does he ever talk about loving video games? All the dude does is complain about things and has worn out the word woke to the point I heard Merriam-Webster's thinking of putting his YouTube channel in place of the definition.
That would be amazing.
What are your thoughts? What are your thoughts on that? You know?
My thoughts are Expedition 33 was an incredible game, life-changing even. Silksong was so much fun. Had a blast playing that as well. I talk about these things all the time. Many games.
2 games. You've played 2 games out of the 8 that were in the clip that you showed to Colin when you said he was a tourist. Flippantly, angrily, when you responded to him. That is the definition of a tourist. You're playing games that are popular and happening. You're not playing games that are niche to a field. You're not playing games that are deep dives that would have not been heard by the mainstream. You cannot be fucking serious that you think you're not a tourist or that you're not a casual. Once again, it's okay to be a casual. It's okay to be a fucking tourist. It is okay to not be all in the identity of, I must play the hardest games at all times, and I must also have my balls crushed in the eyes as I try to figure out how to play this game while upside down, tied Houdini style with a dick in my ass. It is entirely possible that you can do that. It is acceptable that you can do that. It is preferable, if that is the way you engage in content, that you do that. You just don't get to fucking whine and bitch and moan when you talk about topics you're not able to actually verse because you're not talking about the content in the game. Because where in your discussion of you hating Erika Ishii do you then talk about the actual subject matter of the game's use of the gyroscopes to give you mini games that you need to use your controller with? And then the accessibility feature of just being able to skip them because they don't actually matter. They don't actually affect the long-term problem of status effects. If you burn the fish or if you skip this scene, you still get the full benefit of the buff when you stop at a campfire. to also upgrade your ninjutsu arts and your ninja tools. You don't have a statement on the return of the slashing minigame because that's of no material to you. You have no comment on the mechanics of the actual gameplay system, including the carrying screech, also known as the Unreal Howl, and how it functions as a tool for players that are smart enough, good enough, and agile enough not to get hit to simplify combat as a reward mechanism. You don't have an opinion on that because you didn't play the fucking game. And in not playing the game, you kind of don't get to talk about anything else other than the drama. Which, if you were focused on the game, you wouldn't be able to focus on the drama per se. Or, better, your opinion about the content would be better versed. Example, I crowdsource and we all work together to fund South of Midnight. By funding that, I get to now criticize that game's story. To the nines. You know why? Because I paid for it. We bought it collectively together. Us, we. And then when I write what I write, and we use clips from my stream of us playing it, people can't say, lol, that didn't happen. You know why? Because I played it. I experienced it. And therefore, I now have an experience and vision that I can now communicate through my own content. Same as Niru, same as Savvy, same as Craig, same as Blab, same as you, same as everybody. But for some reason, no. They're not actually allowed to do that. Because you said, okay.
Chrono Trigger is the greatest game of all time. I'll talk about Chrono Trigger till my face turns blue. I don't understand he doesn't talk about video games. You know what it is? It's the people that don't ever watch my streams. They just catch clips or certain videos, and they're like, oh, that's that guy.
How are they going to watch your stream if it's behind fucking members only? You stream at a time of day and night that is capable of allowing you to hide your content and say, well, you guys just don't watch my content. You guys just don't watch my content. You guys just don't watch my content. You don't know my real opinion. I could say the same thing, except my VODs are available in a playlist. People can watch them as a backlog. People who are inside the Discord get notifications, just like everybody else on every other platform that have all the notifications, if they're even fucking working on YouTube. They have the ability to go to the link, even if it's unlisted, and it's there. It's not behind a paywall. And best, the content that is really good, the evergreen content, that content's there to be consumed at any time, alongside my videos, which can range on a subject of different matters and topics. All of which can be brought from the ether to my attention from my chat room. Same as yours. If I can do it, you can do it. If Var can do it, you can do it. If Craig and Blabs can do it, you can do it. If Devin can do it, if Short Fat Otaku can do it, you can do it. And somehow, this shit's so fucking difficult that you act like it's the fucking apocalypse. You big-lipped Italian punk.
It doesn't talk about video games. It's like, well, if you actually wanted to partake in the Smash JT world, you would realize that I do talk about video games a lot. Sometimes I don't cut them into videos, but in the live streams we're talking about them throughout the whole time. So I don't.
So you want people to waste their time and look at a you. You want people to waste their time and look through and look at VODs that are in list in proper order of where they have last been seen. 4-hour, 15-minute live stream, 3-hour, 15-minute live stream, 4-hour, 57-minute live stream, 4-hour, 50-minute live stream. I'm going to start rounding up these numbers. 4, technically 420, 315, 5, 407, 330, 4, 335, 336, 340. Round even shorter. 3-hour, 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 nearly 5-hour, a little bit over 4-hour, a little bit over 3-hour, little above 4-hour, little under, closer to 4-hour VODs of your Smash casts. You want them to waste their time and their money and watch your content so they can get to know your opinion. When it should be, if that's what you're going to claim, in a short, which you don't use because you never use your shorts, or the videos, which is clickbait, 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 clickbait. Talking about the sales crash, price slash, talking about UK Games Fund exposure, talking about Outer Worlds 2, but not playing it. Talking about Naughty Dog's new job posting. Talking about Twitch, which has nothing to do with video games. That has more to do with the Emery situation. And you know this because Emery was on the thumbnail. Copacabana's Marcante. Talking about Amazon Studios slashing its studio. Talking about Obama. Claiming that Colin is the one crashing out after you made an ass of yourself. Clipping J.D. Vance, calling out Hassan for Colorgate. Talking about crazy lefties because of the political Halo memes. A weird out-of-place video about how you're getting replaced, where you're looking at a clip or you're a part of a show clip, don't know which one, of Neon, of Couple Shit, Battle Shit, I forget what his additional channel's called on Twitter, but to Neon of Clownfish Gaming, Clownfish in general. Numbers out on Game Pass being a massive failure. And then more things about Outer Worlds 2, a game you don't play, and talking about Obsidian being cooked. Which you would have already known. You wouldn't have known that had you played Avowed. But you didn't play Avowed. You didn't even try Avowed. Didn't even report on Avowed, probably. Other than what you reported on the game looking like. So I'm going to type in Avowed. Avowed is cooked 11 months ago. Avowed, dead on arrival 8 months ago. Avowed bombs. Avowed Jennifer Cope runs wild. Official Avowed account immediately blocks anyone questioning pronouns. Avowed shill exposes video game industry's biggest problem. Avowed director confirms whistleblower concerns. Game is a buggy mess, which that is actually true. You are doing more talking about the games in the past than you are now, sir. And yet somehow, you want me to believe that some of these videos are the same as the others, where your thumbnail has evolved again to be more aggressive with the clickbait. Okay, I guess.
I don't know what to tell people. What's interesting here is you being called a tourist is people are. I see this a lot here. No tourism, right? This guy sucks. Smash is literally just.
Oh my god, what is that little sketch?
Oh, that guy's hysterical. He always does.
That is adorable.
There's Banana Man. There's Blabs. It looks like Smash is chasing down Blabs right there.
Why you gotta chase me, bro?
I don't know.
Cope and Cess incoming. I'll pass on that. Smash JT is a gaming tourist right here. Roy is simply just out on our show. That's rough. A lot of people. Nobody likes you right here. Smash is a lolcow as far as I'm concerned.
Oh no.
No, fuck that guy.
Nice to meet you too, Tio.
Pawn Shop Ghost says you should get him to admit why he lied about Razor in his hit job video, echoing the smear tactics from Kino Casino. If he values honesty, he'll own it. Okay, Smash.
I've already spoken about this many times. I'll speak about it again and say I was just reacting to what Kino Casino was saying about him, and even
if you were just reacting to what they said, you shouldn't have been involved in the situation because you have no idea what the fuck you're talking about. And they are an example of the kind of things you don't want to become. So, are you interested in entertaining lolcowdom and lolcows, or are you interested in talking about gaming news? And are you then interested in talking about the things that go into the gaming news? These are things you have to decide. You do not want to decide. Seems like it's going to be decided for you, bro.
In the video where I covered it, I said, if these allegations are true, that's not a good look. That was literally my take on it. What I've realized with the Razorfist stuff, the Razorfist does not like me at all. And I know he's tight with you guys and on the show and stuff like that. I do not harbor any ill will towards him. He has me blocked for obvious reasons. He probably wasn't a big fan of my coverage of his situation. But I do that with everything. I react to topics that are interesting to me and say, wow, this is wild. Did you guys see this? This is crazy. But yeah, I don't know what else I need to say about it. I'm more than happy to chat with him. If he ever wants to talk, I'm happy to.
Talk to him. Stop making cope. Say your real feelings.
But that takes two, so.
Right. Well, I think one thing that we've seen with our show is we have people that on our show that we have good relationships with that they don't have good relationships with other people we have on our show, right? it's not our job to be their fucking parents, right? It's not our job to know everybody's personal relationships when it comes to, well, this person likes this person, Timmy likes Tommy, but Tommy doesn't like Debbie, you know, whatever. It's like,
what was it you said when we were King of the Park? Like, if we didn't have guests on that had infights, we would not have any guests at all.
we wouldn't have a show at all, like zero show. Like, sorry, there are things that I don't agree with Smash on. That's,
oh, no.
I know. Like,
That's what I'm out.
You know, there are things that I don't agree with Mally on. There's things I don't agree with Kirsha on. There's things, you know, go down the line. And there's things I don't agree with Blabs on, like, at all. But it's fine, because guess what? We're fucking humans. It's all right, you know? But Smash, I do want to let you know that you are a fucking cancer. Here. This is from RoboCop, by the way.
Oh, man.
Point that out.
Not RoboCop.
RoboCop, not RoboCop.
Oh,
yes.
yes.
Let's see. You are a great and necessary asset to gamers suffering from the consequences of DEI and Activision invasion of the industry. All the tools slandering him in the comments are butthurt, libtards, and calling Sony playing Moriarty fangirls, which may as well be one of the same these days.
Well, I got some defenders. That's nice.
I'm with Eric.
What did Eric say?
Remember that time that he beat you in Nerd Duel, which was good.
That was bullshit. I want a rematch.
It's the equivalent of telling a trans man they're a female over and over again. You guys are no different than a typical libtard. You're just on the other side. I guess that's us, huh?
What, is that one of those Palestine flags?
Yeah.
I ignore whatever they say after it.
Thomas says, "Come on, Greg. I like y'all, but please stop associating yourself with people like Smash. Y'all already associate yourself with Dev and Rakeda, two notorious locals. If I wanted to see one, I would just turn on the Keemstar podcast."
Damn.
True, super true. Not sure about the Dev one. Dev is making himself, in some ways, into a lolcow because he likes picking fights. Rackets, very much so. He is very much leaning into parasociality and trying to avoid actual accountability through the means of being a newfound version of himself. Which wouldn't be accurate, because that would then mean he's giving himself the same task over and over again, which is not the case, as this fan did not exist under his car earlier that day, which means they didn't have installed this somewhere. I figure out how to move this out the way.
JT is a clout-chasing, drama-farming dickhead. Fuck that guy.
You know, I keep getting the vibe of, was it Johnny Depp in Pirates of the Caribbean? It's like, but you have heard of me.
Is that what we're going with? We have more saying, why would you associate yourself with this fella? It's a terrible look. Dude doesn't play video games, he just bitches. Guy's a fucking tourist. And he is a lying Afro-Asiatic jade. Oh, is that supposed to be a Jew bag? Is that what that is?
So, yeah.
Okay, thank you, Derek Druid. Over on
That's a hell of a comment. You know what I've noticed, by the way?
Yes.
There's a lot of people that don't like me, and when I do any even surface level dive into their profile or anything, they're always like wackos or nut jobs, and I'm like, I guess I'm doing something right. If those are the people.
They're always wackos and nut jobs. Okay. Everybody who replies to you must be a wacko and or nut job. I am a content creator of his own size and own figure. I did not have to grift off of social media and off of going from being a victim and attaching themselves to Computer's Rambo to trying to spin up drama against the industry to try and get clicks to fund your future into getting insulted by other people. I doubt you're ever going to respond to anything people like myself or others would criticize because you're interested on grifting. You're a grifter. Your opinion doesn't matter in that way. I would like you to become better at your job, but if you can't do that, then we'll just eclipse and lapse you in time. No problem, bro.
People who don't like me, I'm fine with that.
They're all, well, yeah, speaking of wacko nut jobs, let's turn to David Jaffe, who, you posted this, this is
yes.
pretty funny, their response to, now Colin and David, they're boys, and look, I think that's cool, let them be boys, you know, I don't, like, and to be clear, I think David Jaffe, his work in the industry has been great. I know David, I don't know him personally, but I know that he literally hates me because I think that boys are boys and girls are girls.
Oh, what a coincidence. He hates me for the very same reason.
Yeah, we're horrible people because of that, which is great. But here was his response with his co-host. I'm not familiar with his co-host, but...
Gene Park, he's a writer for the Washington Post, and I have no issues with Gene, but I feel like Gene is I don't want to say a shield for the industry, even though he kind of is. I feel like he's one of those types of people that just goes along to get along and tries just to keep all these people happy just so he gets invited on their shows and stuff, instead of actually having a strong opinion either way against anyone. But
well, let's see what they had to say about this.
When you have access to the world, you're going to find your people.
Yeah.
You know?
And I guess he has, because he's pretty successful in that world, right? I mean,
Hey, congratulations, Smash.
you know how much he's probably grinding his teeth when he said that too. He's like, oh, damn it.
It's like that meme of the mask facing smiling.
Yeah.
The donations were streaming it.
The donations were streaming in, man.
And you're getting like $100 donations, like $10 donations, like it was crazy, you know?
So if you're watching and you're a fan of this guy, and you've come, and again, welcome. I don't know you personally. I certainly don't ever want to know this guy.
Absolutely.
So I want people to listen really carefully at this point because they start talking about money, and I want you to keep in mind that this chat was set to members only. The only way you were able to talk, respond, or communicate with Jaffe and Gene was if you became a member or sent in a super chat.
Wait, on their...
As opposed to in your stream, where you were actively telling people and trying to control the chat room by blocking, banning, and removing people that were speaking in a way you didn't like. Which included people who were for your side, and people who were against your side, and people who were only there for calling, and a bunch of other shit that your mod admitted to.
On their show. Wow. Now, I've never done that on my channel. It's always just community-driven support for donations to people if they want to support, they're welcome to.
Except when they don't.
And I find it insane to take a standpoint of they're coming across very jealous about the donations I was getting while they have a members only chat.
Okay, hold on. This person says, no, it wasn't. I was there. That's a lie.
Yes, it was. I was there live, and I wanted to respond and said members only. So whoever said that's a lie is probably a member, and they didn't realize they got a membership gifted to them because it was members only.
Okay.
I was there. I know for a fact it was members only.
We are getting conflicting reports. I think that's the only person saying that it was not. So, all right, let's go continue.
What promoted about the trans community. But if you're just understand something about certain people, and I will say based on what I saw last night.
Wouldn't it be easy for you to demonstrate this since there's a fucking alert that comes up that shows that it's members only? Wouldn't you have taken a screenshot of this, Smash? Even then, and it was under paywall, why care? You know they're going to talk about numbers because they're always worried about how many people are watching at any one time. Who cares? It's not important. It is irrelevant. They're going to say what they're going to say about you. Period.
In my opinion, is Smash JT falls into this category. Obviously, it's subjective, but my opinion is that if you watched that last night, you can hate Colin, you can hate women and Ghost of Yote, you can still support every single political take this guy has. You can hate the trans community, but please know that at least my opinion, and most people who walked away from watching this opinion, is this guy is either incredibly stupid or he's very smart and you're being played.
So which one is it, Smash? Are you incredibly dumb or are you playing everybody like a fiddle?
I must be an idiot because what he just said there, I'm like, ooh, this is like next level thought going into what transpired, and I think it's fascinating just to pull the lens back a little bit more.
How is it next level thought? Either you know what the fuck you're talking about and you're just manipulating people while attempting to act stupid, or you're really fucking stupid. How is that difficult to understand? Either you understand Serrano numbers and you're fucking around because, look, I am in the industry, I know what I'm talking about. Or you're completely oblivious, you're fighting with somebody about something you don't understand because you're not actually in the industry, and you don't understand what it means to be a games journalist, and you don't understand what it means to be a person reporting on gaming news. Because if you're a hobbyist, and you just like what you like, and you talk about what you like and what's in your interest, as you claimed to Colin, then you would not be in that room, in that field. But you know what that also means? It means I get to ignore your content, just like most people could. Because there's not a single thing you can tell me about that game that I can't discover myself on my own content.
It's like, big shocker. David Jaffe takes Colin's side here. Like, this guy doesn't have, it's like NPC in the back of his mind, the chip that goes put in the back of his brain. He doesn't like me, ergo, he's going to default to take Colin's side, no matter what I said in the conversation. And I think a lot of times, internet beasts kind of just default to that. People don't think for themselves or listen to what people are saying. They're just like, oh.
And you are not applying this to your own side, which means if they don't like Colin, they're just going to default like you. Versus people like myself and people like Cassie who can have their own opinions. Forehead.
I like this guy more, so I just agree with what he says. And that was one of the big takeaways I had from this experience was it was a 45 or 50 or so minute conversation I had with Colin. A large swath of people have not watched the entire thing. They just watch clips or hear from people. And
I watched the whole thing. I got a full copy. I went through it and demonstrated it with the whole 9 yards. So, am I allowed to have my opinion, or am I just one of those people? Which one is it? You'll never know. He'll never actually watch my content to find out.
Make up their mind based off of if they like me or if they like Colin on who won the discussion. And it really is that simple.
It's not that simple. There are factual things that you got wrong. There are factual things that he informed you on that you got wrong. There are factual things that happened in that chat room. There are factual things that your moderators were doing in that chat room. There are factual things that you were doing then on the timeline as you were coping and seething about how you crashed out over your loss on that debate. You not being able to communicate well is not a problem for Colin. Learn how to communicate. Do your research. Do your job correctly, or stop doing it entirely. You're not going to do that. So, improve at your job. Become a better content creator so that you don't embarrass yourself like this again. You're not going to do that either.
If you are able to watch the entire conversation with me and Colin and walk away from it saying, yeah, Colin definitely destroyed you and you were wrong about everything, and you don't know either one of us, or don't have a bias going on either way, then props to you. It's really hard.
If you are a shill that tries to deny and plays coy about clickbait and thinks that he can get away with clickbait the way that you try to get away with clickbait, then I have to say, bro, that is a high level of cope that you've got going on there that you're not really able to, address. And that is a very sad thing to do. Because that is as lolcow-worthy as Regatta. Because accountability doesn't exist. No, you must just be being attacked by people who are just anti-you all the time for no reason. No reason.
hard to remove that bias, though. That's what I've learned from the entire situation.
I think we see that on with any sort of fan base, regardless of the internet or not. You know, you have your tribes. You know, you see that in every aspect of life, whether you're a Taylor Swift fan or a left or right, or you like fighting games versus racing, whatever. Right? Nintendo versus tribalism is a thing, regardless of whatever form of
it goes both ways too. I don't want to act like it's just Colin and his family. Like, no, I have people that will defend me to the death no matter what I say too. Shout out to them, but I mean,
shout out, let's go.
but it works no matter where you are, no matter who you are. It's silent almost.
Right. Well, with all that said, is there anything that you would have done differently, looking back on everything with your conversation with him? Would you have taken a little bit more time to get prepared, or would you have, I don't know, is there anything you would have changed? Or
I mean, yeah, of course, in hindsight, you're always going to question like what I could have done better, what I could have maybe been a little bit more aggressive on. I rewatched it
Stop working around the question and answer the question.
afterwards, and there are points that he made that in the moment I'm looking over at the screen, getting my next point prepared to stay on point with what we're talking about. Where if I wasn't doing that, I could have addressed what he was saying to me and completely shut him down. But because I was focused on trying to bring it back to a different conversation, like stuff like that, where I'm like,
learn how to pivot through a conversation. So the problem here is that if you did have a prepared list of things and you're just trying to get the ball rolling on those topics, you need to learn how to segue and pivot, because you don't know how to, because you don't know how to debate, because you don't know how to have conversations that are interesting, especially when you're not in full control of the narrative. Learn how to pivot. Take better notes. Be confident in your talking points. Be solid on your talking points. And then, more importantly, don't go in trying to have talking points. If you want to have a conversation, have a conversation. If you go in calling somebody a shill and trying to act like you're going to put him in his place about something that he doesn't get because he doesn't get the gamers, then you have to accept that you just got cock-slapped by somebody who's defending something that you are attacking, same way that you attack something that they are defending. In Colin's case, it is Serrana being accurate. In your case, it's whatever the fuck you thought you were trying to talk about.
It's a conversation / debate live in real time with different standpoints is really challenging to keep the train on the tracks and still move.
No, it's not. It's very easy. It's called a moderator. You get two of them. One for you, one for him. Or have one singular person that is going to be a third party that has no full ties to both sides to play favoritism, or somebody who will not play favoritism and will actively hold both of you to the mark to speak on the matter. It ain't gotta be Wick TV, bro, but it does have to be you actually conversing and paying attention.
Move the conversation forward. But at the end of the day, I know it's gonna sound really cheesy and silly, but it was entertaining as fuck. Like, people that came away from it were very energized, very passionate, very had a stance that they took up.
Debates are full of people who then get tribal and have a lot of energy from the tribal energy because they're spending a lot of time hotboxing the fucking box. Oh, wow. What divine knowledge.
But I'm like, this, at the end of the day, is what it's all about. Whether you hate me or love me, it's like Russell Crowe. Like, are you not entertained? Like, this was awesome. This is what.
Oh, so that answers my question then. You are an entertainer then. So you're not a journalist. So stay out of the journalist field. Do not speak on journalistic matters. Stop acting as though you are a market replacement for something that you are not even properly capable of competing against and doing fair enough deference for. And do not act as though it is unreasonable for people to address you the way that they did and to feel that you are not trustworthy. Period. Done. Boom. Done. Easy. You stay inside of a Smash JT field and everybody else will stay in the field that they're already in. You don't talk about games on your channel. You don't talk about interesting topics that have to relate to games on your channel. You talk about the drama that you're clearly interested in, and never the twain shall meet. But you're not going to do that either.
What it's all about. It was awesome.
Has it been a net positive or a net negative for you and your channel?
It's been a positive, but that's not without the obvious detractors and more people that just hate me, things like that. But I've also learned, I said this in my live stream the other day too, it's like, a few years ago, I never...
Why would you be looking at their messages, Smash? You'd just be ignoring them. They're just haters, remember?
Really realized that the biggest creators out there, like you look at the PewDiePies and people like that, they are always on the list of most hated YouTubers, most hated content creators. And it blows my mind because I'm like, I watch them, I'm like, why do people hate this person? It's like a large portion of the audience hate watches or just is jealous or doesn't like XYZ. I'm sure you have people that can't stand you, Craig, because you bring people on your show that they don't like, and that's why now they don't like you because you did that. You platformed someone. Or something like...
Yeah, but you see, here's the difference. People don't like PewDiePie and still hate him because he is a face of somebody who, quote, made it. JonTron made it. PewDiePie made it. Markiplier made it. And in the likes of people like that, across from the other people that they came up with, like Jacksepticeye, a figure who made it, but became a horrible individual in his own right. Jax Films made it, but boy is he a jackass. Mr. Beast and Ava Chris Tyson, need I say more? So on and so on and so on and so on. Plenty of people who can be successful but are horrible individuals. What does that have to do with anything? Why would you care? Put him in your bumper.
Like that, or something you said. So,
or guilt. I get the guilt by association thing all the time.
Yep.
You know, and vice versa. People hate other people. I talked about this. You know, one of the things we heard last week with the Funathon was people were saying, like, when they first appeared on the show, they had friends being like, "Are you sure you want to go on that show? You know, are you sure you want to be associated with that?" And it's like, okay, you know, like I know my, you know, like my only cardinal sin, like that's it. I know what a man is and I know what a woman is. That's it. That's the only thing, and that's like enough to be thrown out of the club. You know, so
I can't believe humanity has gotten to a point where that's actually a big issue. But here we are.
Where we're at. Yep. Well, we got some super chats real quick. I want to hit some of those real fast, and they are. So let's see if some of them are related to you. Mary says, "So anyways, Blabs, how are you enjoying Jurassic World 3? I'm about 10 hours in. An overall improvement from Jurassic World 2."
I agree. It is an improvement. There are some things I wish they would have fixed gameplay-wise, but one of the biggest things was putting buildings down and how retarded it was in the first 2 games, and they fixed it, and it's fantastic. And I'm like, yes. So I'm very happy they did that. However, they didn't fix the Jeep driving, and if you ever drive the machinery in that game, it's very, very sensitive, and you do flips and shit. So yeah, but I fucked up the other day, and I have to go and restart an island. So
Flips and shits.
Yeah, I recommend it.
Mock Scott came in with 5 gifted memberships, and then 5 more. Let's go with a 10 right there. Blaz, do we have anything special for Mock Scott for the
vote for me is a vote for boobs.
Yeah, well established today.
Great.
We should probably just have Playboy Bunny Blabs just hanging out in the background. Yeah, just hanging out right there, ready to pop up, and whenever you're ready to go. By the way, currently sitting at 111 bookmarks right now. So if you like, go bookmark that tweet for later. And by the way, make sure you bookmark Phoenix's as well, as he dressed up with these exact same costumes, which is good. So there you go. There's Blabs circa a decade ago.
No, excuse you. That is second and third year of college. How many years ago was that? Okay, so one of them is 10 years ago, one of them is 9 years ago.
Okay, well, they're like so exactly.
I'm like, shit, I'm old.
So exactly what I said. That's right. Taker says, speaking of basketball games, did anyone play Bill Lambert's Combat Basketball on the Super Nintendo? It's a futuristic top-down style game where you can just tackle your opponents.
Skip.
Tez goal today, which is outstanding. Let's go with this one.
Skip.
That is considerably more profitable than our teeny tiny little thing we're doing here, which congratulations to him. But where are we at? We have Elvira on the left. Where's she at?
Oh, well, she never moved.
Oh, shit. What's that?
We're still at 33.7 for Elvira.
Okay.
Skip.
I don't even know Bukio. Skin diving out west coast. Here's hoping for calm waters. Yeah, Armis, you take care of yourself. And I will be getting on a plane here in just about 18 hours to head out to Atlanta. Raphael says, if Yote had sold well, Sony would have revealed numbers and celebrated within a week. Now, did that ever happen? Ever? Thoughts on that, Smash?
Sorry, read the chat. Read that one more time.
Yeah, if the premise being that if Yote had sold well, then Sony would have celebrated it almost immediately.
100%. That was another argument Colin tried to make. He's like, no, they don't do that anymore. I'm like, bullshit. Like, if they blew the doors on this, you don't think they wouldn't have said it sold 4 million copies in the first week or something? Like, come on.
Yeah. That's just marketing 101, right? You want to get it out there. Toast with the most 69 came in and says, wee! Thank you.
Not like Maxwell from the Geico commercial? Maxwell.
Skip.
Horror game, video games that you like to play?
Dead by Daylight, pretty basic.
Skip.
AJC came in and says, just a little something to show my support. Highly enjoy this channel and everything.
Skip.
There's snippet here. How isn't a sequel expected to be? No, I didn't know.
Stance with that segment of the conversation that again, like I feel maybe I'm being biased in my own feelings here, but I feel like Colin was not well prepared for the response to that. Quote unquote professional in the games world. I'm like, what? So, name me one sequel that was ever set out intended to not do better than the original. Why? What? And that's why I thought it was so important to reference Tsushima based off of what Yote has done right now, because it's a direct correlation in a lineage of the franchise, and he's trying to discount like no, that, compared to what's going on right now in the world. Like what? Why?
It is a spiritual successor. It is not a direct sequel. Because it is a spiritual successor, its job is to be similar but different enough. Same as Dark Souls and Elden Ring. You understand this premise and concept, you're just being retarded. Because people looking for the same thing they got in Tsushima would not necessarily find it in Yote. They would just know that this is the follow-up spiritual successor that's coming up behind that game.
Anyway, that's cool. Love it. That's says, Craig, I remember calling Fan-Base shout on you when you interviewed him. I held him in the same category as his boy, Game Over Greggy. I do not put them in the same category personally. I think,
no, as much as, to me, as much of a douche as Colin is, he can't hold a candle to Greg. Like,
yes, it's amazing. And Delta says, I find it funny. Smash, Moriarty, Alex, Frit, etc. do the whole, you're not a real gamer, you barely play games. When you all seem to have played half a dozen games this month, and I've only played Digimon World, not the newest release. That's right. In comparison, you guys play way more games than other folks. So.
Well, the other part of that really frustrates me is like, even if I don't talk about games, even if I don't play video games, what is that argument related to what we're talking about with the sales figures of this game? Like, it's such a straw man, like, move the goalpost to something different discussion that it legitimately like perplexed me when he started going down that road with me, and then started talking about the titles of my videos and stuff. Like, what's this have to do with why you came on here to talk to me about stuff? Right. He's trying to discredit me as
You tried to cope and tried to lie to his face, so he just did what any person would have done and reached for the easiest things used to debunk you. Still coping.
Brand or what I do so that it tries to take away from my talking points. Like, that doesn't make what I said less true just by saying I don't play games, even when I do play games. Like, what's that to do with anything?
Let's finish with this clip that you throw away. Here's the thing. I legitimately don't know a whole lot about Kino Casino at all. Really, I've never been on their show or anything.
No, you've been featured though.
Apparently, I don't know. Apparently, do they not like me or something? Did I do
no,
something?
it's just you've been featured.
About what?
The Razorfist stuff.
What about Razorfist?
months ago with the whole Grenade stuff. You've been featured.
Okay.
Like they would take clips from here.
Okay, cool. Well, we have this clip that Smash has shared with us. Kino Clip Channel plays a clip of RTU watching side scrollers.
To be clear, this was shared to me by Freedon Corpse, and I'm just providing it to you from them.
Okay. When a super chat from yours truly pops up on screen, Dickers goes from being calm to losing his mind. He ate his daughter's eyes. What is this? Should I know this meme? That he ate his daughter's eyes? What is this? Okay, I don't even know. All right, let's go and see what exactly happens here.
In lockout basement, I fucking fell on the floor laughing.
All right. So to be clear, is this them watching a stream? Like, is it us watching them watching a stream? Is that what we're doing?
No. Right now they're just doing a sidebar conversation. When they watch a stream, they have it up on the screen as well.
Yeah. Okay.
Here we go. Right there. All right, let's check it out.
Oh,
There we go.
RTU ate his daughter's eyes. Oh no! You think it's gonna make her review tech Steve? Oh no!
I'm gonna die. I'm gonna die.
I'm gonna just preemptively hit it.
Wait, hold on. So this is them watching Review Tech watching me.
Yes, because Review Tech.
That's from Inception right there.
And now this is us watching them. Watching Review Tech watch you.
Oh my god, this is
Full
so fucking stupid. This is so dumb. All right, I don't recall this, but let's go ahead.
I think it's gonna make Rich seethe.
That was easy. I'm ordering one of those from Amazon tonight.
Look at his face. He's rattled, buddy.
Okay.
He's rattled.
Why do you care so much? Why do you care so much about these things? Yeah, look out.
Oh,
Then I'm tired before I read that. Like, it has to be a 10.
It's like my dog got stung by a bee. Like it's the same shit.
We should probably grift that and make it a higher before I read that. Like, it has to be a 10.
No skipping?
Thanks, Light Fair. Or watch videos on 2x if the topic feels important. John, that's totally fair, man. Like, or you have an opinion I don't care about, so I tune in.
I enjoy y'all's content, but every so often news cycles comes up, and you have an opinion that I don't care about, so I tune out for a week and watch videos on double time if the topic feels important. Completely valid. 100% logical.
And tune it out for like a week or watch videos on 2x if the topic feels important. John, that's totally fair, man. Like, we will not agree on everything. And you know what? Awesome. Like, it legitimately is great.
Well, I mean, would you want that though? Like,
no.
how weird would that be if you just agree with every time someone says something? I wholeheartedly agree with everything this person says all the time. Like, what?
Yes.
That's why I get a kick out of it.
What is the people currently trying to use the grift on Twitter, trying to build up a hate raid base off of lying about video games that came up and they haven't played since?
People that are like, I've been subbed to you for 8 years, and because of this video, I'm unsubbing. I'm like, so we finally disagreed on something that was a relationship just terminally ending no matter what happened.
Right. And I think that's, look, without going into too many details, there has been I've had a relationship with let's just say subscriber, right? Similar situations. Like, you've known me online for the better part of, in their case, a decade plus, 15 years, right? And you're gonna take 15 to 20 seconds of something and be upset about that, and that's gonna cause you to go, right? Just disregard everything else. Yep. Disregard everything. Okay, that's fine. They say this.
That's because they're fickle, bro, and there's nothing you can do about that.
Content world is fleeting. It truly is. So, all right, it's time to get out of here, guys. We want you guys to have a great Halloween. Get outside, be safe. If you're walking your kids around, make sure you protect them. Enjoy it. Enjoy your.
Wonderful. So, they didn't quite serve him softballs. Blabs did indeed do her job. Thank you, Blabs. And he had nothing but cope answers as a response. And it's cold in the house because I'm catching myself drifting. Then again, I did sit here waiting for the sun. And it does not appear the people that I intended on going to the server with are online yet. So here's what I'm going to do. Hello, Pimp. So the other say is to Shishima what Perfect Dark is to GoldenEye. Yes. Ow. And what that one GoldenEye Nintendo GameCube game is to the other GoldenEye 64 game. I need to get a copy of that. I don't even think it's going to be possible to find a copy of that. Unless I emulate it, of course. Nope, they're still not up yet, if at all. But here's what we're going to do. The people who I intended on going into the server with have not gotten up yet and haven't given me a response. So, because I've talked about what I've talked about here, I am going to go offline for a bit. I'm going to take a nap, and then I'm going to get back up later and see if things have changed. And if not, then we'll go into the server, starting with those that are going to be joining us as a group into the hive. Because I did indeed stay up, waiting for the sun. Because the server opened at 8, and I spent maybe 4 hours resting. And then I had more stuff I had to do after I was done trick-or-treating last night. And there's definitely a lot of dishwashing that I need to do. So, I'm going to take that nap, and I'll see you guys in like, I don't know when the hell my body's going to make me get up, but it'll probably be very late. I don't know. We're going to find out. And I'll see y'all then.